Tonight on the GameCritics.com podcast, we talk about scary games and The Walking Dead Episode 4. The GameCritics.com podcast starts right now. Welcome to the GameCritics.com podcast. I'm Dylan Collins. This is episode 81, and with me, I have Chi Kong Liu. Hi, Chi.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
What's up? How are you doing?
Good.
I like to sometimes...
I think I stole Brad's opening. I don't know why I do that sometimes.
Well, Brad is here. Brad, you have to come up with a new opening now.
I'm going to say greetings, everybody.
Thank you. That's what I was hoping for. Richard Nyack is here as well. Hi, Richard.
Hi there, Dylan.
It's so weird. I can't get used to you not saying either greetings, every peoples, or hey.
I only did hey once.
Yeah.
Twice.
It was twice, and I was getting to like it.
Oh, well, okay. Well, just once more, for the road. Hey.
Yes. I like that you had to build into it. That makes me happy. Mike is not here. Brad's going to read a statement from him in a second. But in his stead, one of our favorite guests on the GameCritics.com podcast, the U.S. news editor for Eurogamer, Jeffrey Maliff, is here. Hi, Jeffrey.
Hey, Dylan. How's it going?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Doing well.
Good. Glad to have you on the show. Today we're going to talk about... It's the Mike Brackenless Scary Games episode. So I think now would be a good time to read Mike's statement. So he's here in spirit.
Okay. All right, great. So I talked to Mike earlier today over Twitter, just so the listeners know. This was his birthday weekend, which is why he couldn't be here. It's really unfortunate that on the show so close to Halloween that he's not around. But I'll go ahead and read a letter that he sent in, and I guess that'll make up for him not being here tonight. Okay, so here's the letter that Mike sent over. I'm just going to go ahead and read it verbatim, and hopefully that'll be entertaining, as Bracken always is. Hello to my fellow critics and to all the listeners. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you tonight, but as you may or may not know, this weekend is my birthday, and I am currently in the midst of a celebration. I got a great deal on a flight to Thailand on a sex tourism package deal, so in honor of my 50th birthday, I couldn't say no. Anyway, since I'm hitting this lifetime milestone, I decided that I can no longer live a lie. It's time to stop all the falsehoods and deception and be who I am. He continues on here. For starters, I never grinded all those hours in all those RPGs that I said I did. I actually paid people to farm gold and experience for me, and I looked up details on GameFAQs to make my story sound credible. Another thing that's not true about me is that I actually don't like horror movies. I get frightened very easily, and the scariest thing I've seen in a while was one of these recent mornings when Kathy Lee Gifford forgot to do her makeup on the Today Show. I only said that I liked it because it sounded cool and I wanted to pick up on chicks. I regret that now. And in fact, giallo isn't even a genre of Italian film. It's just some bullshit word I made up to sound smart. Finally, I'm not really a sports fan. I bought a few jerseys to fit in with the crowd, but I really don't know anything about bunting field goals or getting a triple crown in hockey. In truth, I was too embarrassed to admit that I'm a world-class crocheter and that I make the neatest sweaters you've ever seen. In closing, I wanted to apologize for all these years of being untruthful, and now that I'm in my golden age, I'm looking forward to being who I truly am. Also, Brad is my favorite game critic of all time, and everything he's ever written is pretty awesome. Love, the Sweater Geek.
That actually scared the hell out of me for like 5 seconds. Just the thought of maybe this could be true. Just like rocked my world.
No, this is legit, dude. Send it over. Send it over.
The thought of Brad Gallaway being his favorite critic.
Yeah. What's that?
Terrifying.
There's nothing funny about that. It's a truth.
Did he crochet the hat that you're wearing in your Skype picture, Brad?
He made that for me. Isn't that great?
I can see his workmanship.
Yeah. Kudos to him for just putting all that deception aside and coming.
Happy birthday. We hope you enjoy your sex tour.
Happy birthday, Mike.
I hope that part's true.
That part is true. Yes.
Totally awesome.
Dear God.
That's the only reason why. That's the only legitimate excuse for not being on the podcast.
Sex tour.
Because we've had other guests be on our show on their birthdays. Guests, mind you.
I think Richard's done the show on his birthday, haven't you, Richard?
Yeah, actually I did last year.
So there you go. But you didn't have a sex store to go to, so
No, I didn't, unfortunately.
it's okay.
No, they've actually banned those in Missouri, so I can't. We don't have them.
We're going to talk a lot later about The Walking Dead episode 4, so I'm excited about that. But before that, we're just going to name drop some scary games. It's hard to do without Mike here, but we're going to try. For Mike. Chi, I know you've been playing. You had a reason why you don't like scary games in general, right?
Yeah, this is kind of my long-winded excuse as to why I don't play scary games, and it's hopefully it'll be interesting enough to sort of make up for the absence of Bracken on the show to some extent. And this dates me back to the original Doom game. Obviously, as everyone who played PC games back in the day, Doom was like the shit, right? I mean, that just blew open the doors for PC gaming. And I remember like one night not in particular, but I remember there were some nights when I would be playing it late into the night, and you know how there were like there's stages where like the lights would be busted and it'd be like blinking, and I'd be walking through the corridors, and I would just get like so sucked into that game, especially in those type of stages, and it really like by the time I was done or I died in a stage, I literally was like my heart was pounding, I was like sweating. I was like literally felt like I was having a heart attack. I was scared like witless. And after that, I realized I can't play these games because it wasn't a very pleasant experience. Thankfully, I had a good friend, a neighbor of mine who really loved Doom as well, and he'd come over and I'd have to play it with him. And that's like sort of been my MO after that. Anytime I play scary games, I have to have like a friend side by side with me, so I don't sort of fall into this like petrified state that I just like I can't deal with after the fact. I'm like a total mess afterwards. And to sort of reaffirm how that feeling, very recently I played this Flash game that I think it's also probably on PC as well, or it's a small indie game from the guys that did Slender Man, or the guy rather that did Slender Man. Where Am I? And I didn't know it was by that guy at first because it was just recommended by our friend Aaron from the Game Enthused podcast. And I started playing it, not knowing anything into it, but I very quickly realized that this was a little horror game, and it really messed with your senses. It's like this whole first person. I don't know. You're walking through corridors that I can't really describe. Like it's not because it's not a shooter, but it's this very ambient experience, and it just it's very hard to see, and it becomes harder and harder to see, and then it's like little flashes and things like that, and it's like sort of the interactive version of the Blair Witch Project in some ways. And yeah, I couldn't even, and it was like probably 5 to 10 minutes, and I couldn't even get to the end of that because I just started freaking out like halfway through. I was like, I know what's gonna happen, and I'm not going to subject myself to that. So I stopped playing it. I couldn't even finish like this little Flash game. So that's kind of like my history of horror games in a nutshell.
Is it one of those things where images just flash on the screen and loud noises and whatnot?
No, it's not like that. It's more like and I don't want to spoil it because that kind of like takes away the whole thing as well. But it's more, like I said, more like a corridor thing where you're sort of just walking in a first person's perspective, and it just really messes with your senses. And like I said, I hesitate to say even more than that at this point.
Sounds interesting, at least.
I mean, it's you can play it for free, so and like I said, and I don't know, I don't know if Slender Man, when I look at the user reviews, it gets mixed reviews. So it's one of those things, either you love it or you hate it. But if you're sort of into horror stuff and you don't mind paying 90, because I think Slender Man recently got released on iPad and iOS, probably for like 99 cents, but you probably play it free on the PC. But if you like that sort of indie thing, you might want to give two of those things a try. It also harkens back to, I don't know if you guys ever like got a link to this scary website where it like it was like you click through some panels, and then of course at the last panel it like jump scared you.
Yeah, I hate those.
I know, I can't stand those. I know.
Jeff, you've played this, right?
I have played it. I know, I was a little disappointed in that one because it's only about 5 minutes long. I think that the game's on a timer as you're playing it, and everything just looks grainier and grainier, and I think there might have been some kind of sound too. So like it gets creepy, but at the end of it, something I think something scary was happening, but I was looking the other direction, so I didn't actually see the scary thing. so it just like ended abruptly, and Slender was much better. And by the way, it's
What,
just
like you
called
look back and like credits were rolling or something? Like you totally missed like the whole end?
yeah, like like I'm sure it is just a jump scare thing because like literally like I heard some sound like a scream or something, like there was a surprising sound, but I didn't see anything, and it just went to black, and I'm like. I guess the sound was kind of unnerving, but yeah, and that was something Slender did really well because the concept of that game, which I'm sure everyone knows by now, is that you can't look at the creature. If you look at it for more than a second, like that's how you get a game over.
Why don't you break that down for folks that
I've not actually played it.
Explained it.
Oh yeah, so the idea is that you're looking for these 8 pages. The full name of the game is called Slender, the 8 pages,
okay.
But there's no real story or anything to it. You're just in this dark forest with a flashlight that you can turn on or off. And yeah, you just have to collect, 8 notes that have like little creepy doodles on them. And there's this creature who basically just looks like a man in a suit with a completely white face and long arms. As the title implies, he's a tall, thin fellow. And but basically, if you look at him for, more than a second, I won't say exactly how you get a game over, but yeah, you get a game over in a sense. So basically, whenever you see him, you kind of freak out and start running the other way. So it's like, it really scared me the first couple times I played it. I know that, like when Richard was talking about Amnesia a long time ago, he had a friend who was playing it who, like, once you understand some of the ways the AI functions or something, there are ways around it. But if you don't know like how that works, it can be really, really scary.
Yeah.
So,
and as far as Amnesia goes, there are also places in the game where the game is just kind of playing tricks on you, and there's actually no danger at all. And it's one of the best things about it, actually, because it's totally like all of the threat is in your head. Like the game isn't even doing anything to you.
oh god, I know we'll talk about Amnesia in a sec. Can we switch to Amnesia now, or do we have more to say about Slender?
Yeah, we can talk about Amnesia a little bit. I enjoyed last time Richard talked about it. It was before I was hosting. That was one of my favorite episodes. To hear about Richard spilling his wine or almost, and the cat attacking him.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't spill my wine. The cat did attack me, though.
I enjoyed listening to that. So yeah, let's talk about Amnesia because I haven't played that either.
Sure, Jeffrey. Do you want to start it?
Oh, sure. It was just you were talking about how there are those times where the game kind of plays tricks on you and you think there's something scary there, but there isn't. Mm-hmm. And to me, like, I found the game pretty scary. But the times when it's scariest there were 2 times in particular. One is I'd gone for, I can't remember how long, hour and a half, and I hadn't encountered a creature yet. So I'd really let my guard down. So I'm like, okay, this game's all fake scares. I'm sure eventually something's gonna show up, but so far it's all just noises and then one time I just opened a door and the creature was just like right behind it, and I totally freaked out. And there's another time too.
Yeah, there's that sound that plays when you like a creature sees you. It's like that.
Yeah, there's another time. I don't want to spoil it late in the game, but it was another time where like they kind of build up to something, and then you get to that thing, and there's nothing there. So it's like, okay, I'm good, and I just nonchalantly like turned back to go down the hall. And it was like the one time I like literally jumped away from my computer monitor, and I was just like, yeah. Obviously I got a game over.
Yeah, as far as Amnesia goes, I mean, it's including like sort of like the the jump shock kind of scary. Amnesia also has this, and I can't really describe it in detail without giving a whole bunch of stuff away, but it also has this just like that deep seething fear. It's like you see it coming, but it's just so gugh. It's just something you're terrified when you're looking at it and you're thinking about it, and then afterwards it's like I don't know, it's just something that you will remember, that I still remember from that game, even though I haven't played it in like what was it, like a year and a half ago or 2 years or whenever it was that I played it, because it's like it's something that the game uses your mind to construct this really or several really terrifying scenes. And what your imagination comes up is way scarier than anything a game can throw at you.
For me, that's what's cool about horror, is a lot of it is in your mind. And like the Doom graphics, for instance, they weren't, for the time they were good graphics, but now you look back and they're not that strong graphics, but it was mostly in your mind. And it worries me now that we're getting into like photorealism and stuff, that they're going to forego all that stuff and just try to put it on the screen, and it's not going to be as scary.
Yeah, well, isn't that one of the tenets of horror? I mean, I'm sure if Mike was here, he'd be able to name off a million directors, whoever, who believe that. But I mean, it seems to me like the thing that makes scary games scary is the not knowing, because exactly like you guys said, each person comes up with something that's way scarier for them personally than anything that a developer could come up with. I mean, we've all seen the drippy zombies and the spider monsters with too many arms and whatever, like the generic horror stuff that you see. But when you only hear those sounds, or when you're not sure if something's really there, I mean, your brain just kind of turns on you, and you come up with all these things that are just like no developer could ever really capture the internal horror that you foist upon yourself. So I think that's really what all the best scary games have in common, is that they kind of they keep you hanging in that suspense for so long without really showing you too much, and that's the scary thing.
Yeah, and I've only ever played I think one Silent Hill game, and I didn't play that much of it, and I don't remember which one it was, but it also had a function where if you were near a supernatural creature, a noise would go off, and that noise is so fucking scary, much scarier than anything else, because you know something's coming, but you don't know what it is. So I think that's a cool feature of a lot of horror games, or at least the good ones.
Most of the games we've been discussing are based on visuals, or at least really dim lighting. Because the funny thing about Slender is that the actual creature, if you look at screenshots, it's this really very bland looking model. It's cartoonishly fake looking, but the idea is that you don't really see it because you're in this forest. You mostly just see a silhouette, and because it's all tree trunks and everything, your mind kind of plays tricks on you, and you're like, wait, is that something there? Oh no, that's just a branch. And same with Amnesia, because the game is very dim. But there are some games though that I think it's an interesting challenge when games try to be scary without doing that. One game that I admittedly haven't played, but I watched some YouTube videos of the first couple hours, was Silent Hill 4. Mm-hmm. And Silent Hill 4 is really interesting because it looked like the scariest, least fun game that I could imagine. Because I have no desire to play it, or I have some desire to play it just out of curiosity, but it didn't look fun at all. But it, relative to other Silent Hill games, because it actually was not conceived as a Silent Hill game, it's much brighter. Most of the areas are fairly well lit and just kind of this muted gray. But I think that it looked scary because the design looked kind of irritating and stressful. There are these ghosts that can go through walls, and they harm you just by being around you. So and the camera is really, irritating and has all these odd angles, and you have to run around and collect things. And I'm just like, man, if I were playing this, I would just be so stressed and just, I probably wouldn't get through it because I'd be like, I'm getting damaged too much. I'm using too many of my health packs. I would get too worried that I was fucking up my game somehow.
Yeah.
But, I think that there, maybe it's not right for me, but I totally appreciate that, really great sense of unease that a game can do without having to be dark or have tentacle-y monsters.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want a game that physically affects me. That's why I don't play Kinect games, because I'm lazy. But if it gets into my head emotionally, I like that kind of thing. Brad, what about you? What have you been playing that's scary, or can you think of anything that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I think is actually pretty scary. I mean, just to kind of go off topic for a second here. I mean, to me, currently the scariest thing that haunts me every day and keeps me up at night is growing old in the United States without having health care. Super, super scary. It's something that I'm facing right now, and it's the scariest fucking thing ever. Because every time you get a lump, you're like, oh fuck, it's cancer, and I don't have any health care. Or, you start, something creaks the wrong way, and you're like, oh god, I can't get that fixed. I hope I don't get sick. I hope I don't fall down. Hope I don't this, that, or the other thing. So that is really scary. That's scarier than anything the game industry can throw at me. But kind of bringing it back to games, something I've actually experienced twice this year as a reviewer. The scariest thing that I can think of is having to restart a review game after getting a far way into it. I don't like replaying games, and it's just like it's horrible. I mean, earlier this year I played Risen 2, which actually is a really good game. It's a really flawed game, but a really good game. And I had to restart because I got just totally screwed about maybe 15 hours into it. And recently, more recent than that, I'm still working on the review for XCOM Enemy Unknown, which is an okay game. I don't think it's really all that. I don't think it's as good as people say it is. But I put 10 hours into that, and I got so screwed with money. I was totally broke, and I'm like, if I keep going on this way, I'm not going to be able to even finish the game for the review, so I just started over. And to throw away 10 hours to me is like completely fucking frightening.
Yeah.
I just, it's awful. It's awful. But
do you not feel that you're qualified to review it if you've played it for that long? Like, I don't know how long the game is, but
just 10 hours? No, I would have to put in more for XCOM specifically. I mean, it varies by game to game, but at Game Critics, we definitely try to finish as many games as possible when we review them. So, we've put in crazy amounts of time on games that deserve it. If there's something that is like a piece of shit, we don't bother. But, if it's something that's good, we definitely try. And for XCOM, my review is almost done, and I have a feeling I'm going to get like a lot of email on it. So I really wanted to make sure that I could cover all the bases and speak to the whole game.
Yeah, I've seen people go, you stopped right before it got to the good part. Whenever you guys review something negatively, so
you didn't get to the end. You didn't get to the good part. You can't talk because you didn't see how things changed at the end. You were playing it wrong. Blah 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 blah. You suck at games. So I wanted to at least, I had to see more of it before I talk. But anyway, we're getting kind of in the weeds on this one. But something that I think really scared me. I mean, there's a lot of things we could probably name check. I mean, for me, like the scariest thing in my early days was probably when the dogs jumped through the window in Resident Evil 1. I mean, I think everybody got scared at that point, right? I mean, you guys all have that similar experience?
Yep,
definitely. I didn't play it.
I've never played a Resident Evil game.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, asking the wrong people on the podcast. But if you did play Resident Evil 1, I'm sure that you were scared shitless by those dogs jumping through the window. But something a little less well-known, or not even really considered scary, was in Fallout 3, when I was kind of like exploring some of the dark tunnels in the subways. And, I mean, truth be told, I mean, you can get to a point in that game when you're carrying fucking nukes around with you. So it's not like you're unarmed. Mm-hmm. You've got all kinds of weapons and, encumbrance isn't a real thing. But despite all that, I still found it really creepy and unsettling to kind of poke my nose into the darker corners of the game and never knowing when there was going to be like a super mutant or a Deathclaw or something. And, sometimes it was nothing. And honestly, I could usually blow away whatever it was that popped up. But every once in a while, you'd get caught by surprise, or, there'd be one more monster that you could handle safely, and then all of a sudden, like, you would go from being this, like, tank of the wasteland to, like, oh, shit, I gotta get out of here, like, right now, because I'm gonna lose all my stuff, and, that to me was really kind of creepy, and I don't think that Fallout is really seen as a traditional horror game, even though I think there are some elements to it, but that, to me, in recent memory, was something that was really just deeply unsettling and really creepy. So that was something that I liked in a scary.
The whole feeling of isolation and being alone, particularly in some of the older buildings, and you'll be trying to do something and all of a sudden you'll hear a super mutant or some. Yeah, I totally agree. That's one of mine. And I'm generally not frightened by the post-apocalyptic theme, but I find the world so immersive and it's easy to kind of zone out while playing it. That when something comes along and randomly pulls you out of the sort of zen-like state you achieve sometimes when wandering around the ruins, it's really unsettling. I totally get that.
Oh yeah, totally. Like you said, you can zone out. You can just pick off some scavengers here or there, a couple monsters, no big deal, a big rad scorpion or something. But then all of a sudden, as soon as your boat gets rocked, like you said, it kind of snaps you out of it, and all of a sudden the panic sets in, and it's freaky. So that's an interesting sensation to go through. I kind of had a similar experience playing I Am Alive, which came out earlier this year. Did any of you guys play that? Jeff, you played that, didn't you?
Yeah, I played it. Yeah, based on your glowing recommendation.
I haven't played that one yet.
Yeah. I have it. I bought the Steam version. I haven't played it yet.
Oh, okay. All right. So in that game, I talked about it on the podcast earlier, and I will be talking about it later on as we get closer to the end of the year because I think it's really great. But that's another post-apocalyptic game, and I don't think I'm in general scared by them, but this one in particular has the player at a real disadvantage. So in I Am Alive, you're this guy who is really not well armed. Most times you have a gun, which is frequently empty with no bullets, or sometimes you'll have one. And if you get to 3 bullets, you feel like you're God because all of a sudden you can kill stuff. later on in the game you get like a bow and arrow, but you usually have like one arrow and that's it. And if you shoot it, you have to go and get it. So you're not like loaded for bear going through this game. And whenever you get in the vicinity of enemies, you're usually really outnumbered. The game had some problems. Technically there's a few things I didn't like too much about it, but that feeling of constantly being afraid, and the thing that I was afraid of was running into other humans. That's a theme that comes up often in movies and stuff like that, but it was really, really well tuned in that game, and it really brought home the sense that I am really super powerless, and that this is something that I just don't like. And it was a great game, but it wasn't a fun game. And I think you guys kind of touched on that earlier, that in the horror genre, maybe Mike would disagree. I don't know if he does or not, but it's kind of weird that the horror genre is really even a genre, because I don't think anybody thinks those games are fun.
Right.
Like, they're scary and they're tense and you sweat and like you jump out of your seat, but they're not fun. So I Am Alive was a game that I had like negative fun at, but I actually really liked it because it was so, I don't even know, like it was brutal and it was challenging, and it was harsh and it made my heart race. So maybe just that feeling of, I don't know, I'm alive, I survived this game, I guess. I don't know what it was, but that was something that I really liked, and it was kind of a scary thing for me.
I like the term negative fun.
Negative fun.
It was super negative fun, but yeah.
I think taking away like your powers, like, you guys remember the Clock Tower games?
Oh, dude, I'm so glad you brought that up, but go ahead.
I just think taking away, like, in that game you were just running the whole time and hiding from things, and that was a really scary game because you were just powerless the whole time.
Which one are you talking about? There was, I think, 3 total.
I think the first one was the one that I played the most of. The second one I didn't like as much, but the first one was amazing.
Yeah, I'm right with you. That's actually one of the scariest games I've ever played. I'm glad you brought that up. Was it PlayStation 1, was it?
Yeah, right, I think it was PlayStation 1. It was pretty old school.
Yeah, that to me was one of the best video game translations of a slasher flick ever. Because like you said, like you're a character or a series of characters, you don't have any weapons, you're constantly running from the enemy. You're like hiding in like laundry baskets and in closets and stuff, and you never know when he's going to pop up. And even if you manage to fight him off, like, he comes back, and so you feel like he's immortal. It's a really, really scary game, and I'm kind of surprised that more developers haven't kind of stolen from it a little bit. That game actually was so scary, it scarred me permanently. Like, there's a portion of that game where you can run inside an elevator, and when you're inside the elevator, like, the camera switches and you can see the enemy coming towards you, and you don't know if the doors are going to close in time or if he's going to stick his weapon in and stab you before the doors close. And it just freaked me the fuck out, like that elevator section. And so now, literally every single time I get in an elevator, I constantly think, would these doors close in time for Scissorman, or would he get me? Like, I think that every single time. So I've been touched forever by Clock Tower.
I wish they would make more video game iterations of slasher films. I guess they don't know how to do it, but if they took that formula and it would be so good. I wish they would revamp it.
Oh, it was so good because there was a bunch of teenagers in that one, and nobody knew who the killer was, and so it was like almost like a murder mystery too. But then there was also like you were running and you were scared, and it was a murder mystery, and it felt totally like a slasher flick, and it was so great. It's really sad to me that more people don't give that game the props it deserves.
Yeah,
but,
totally.
Yeah.
Brad, I think that you touched on something there when you were talking about having to we were talking about losing all of your progress, because to me that's something that really stresses me out. Like, the whole reason I couldn't play the early Resident Evil games was because of the save ribbons, like having to manually decide when to save, and it's my nature to want to save kind of a lot. I'm not like a quick save guy, but I like to have checkpoints or something, and having to retread the same ground and then be like, did I do enough? Did I accomplish enough in the last 20 minutes to use one? I don't want to get 3 hours before the end and be all out. So that, like, to me, that really that, I find that really frightening. Especially
games where you have to do tasks and stuff, like go search in drawers and you have to keep going and looking in the same drawer. That stuff is really annoying. Sorry, Brad, I cut you off.
No, I didn't say anything. You're good.
Okay. Resident Evil stressed me out for that same reason. I don't like the Resident Evil games because of those save ribbons. And Fallout, you can't save in like a battle situation, and I never quick saved enough. So I think that's one of the reasons I found Fallout so scary as well.
Yeah, I appreciate this design. It just, it's not really for me, but I like that it's there. And every once in a while, I kind of like to push myself. And I don't know. I've been meaning to go through the Resident Evil remake and give that another go at some point because
Oh
I gave
god,
up.
the remake is. I know a lot of people like it. I thought it was fucking awful. I could not stand the remake, man. But let me know what you think of it if you get to it.
Yeah, I gave up after a half hour, but one of these days, it's been on my list for God knows how long. Where I'm like, I should really push myself sometime. And
If you're gonna push yourself,
in
pick a
your
different
mind,
one.
what was the issue with the remake as far as why it didn't work for you?
Oh god, it was just that. It's like Resident Evil was great at the time. I loved it at the time, but after all that time had gone by, like I didn't want to be in the castle with the weird puzzles and the chess pieces and everything, and and also having the Crimson Head zombies. They were like super aggressive and hard to kill, and I just felt like it felt a lot more contrived after the fact than it did at the time because at the time it was new and fresh and scary, and then after all that all those other games had come and gone since then, it was like not even nostalgia was saving it for me. I didn't like it.
How long?
So it just didn't age well. In other words,
I don't think so. I don't think the formula aged well. No.
How long of a game
game
is it?
sounds-
Oh, sorry, Jeffrey.
I was saying this game sounds so wonderfully unfun.
How long of a game is it? When it first came out, I thought it was really long because my brother played it a lot, but I feel like compared to today, maybe not so much.
The remake?
Just the first,
original?
the original in general. How long does it take to beat about?
Oh, dude, you can speed run it in under 2 hours because I
Can
did
you
it.
really? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
to get the rocket launcher, you have to speed run it, and I had it because I hated those fucking monsters so much. I wanted to have the rocket launcher so I could go through and just waste them all. So 2 hours, but if you don't know what you're doing, clearly it's a lot longer than that,
Right.
like 10 hours probably.
Okay. Richard, I know you found a way to work in a very game that's close to your heart into this conversation.
I did, and this is a Team Fortress story, so everyone collectively roll your eyes now.
Go get a
But
glass
no,
of water or something. Come back in 5 minutes.
But no, Chi I think will appreciate this. First, obviously, just one more time, I have to mention Amnesia. I'm not a horror guy, but that game scared the living crap out of me. But lately I've been playing a lot of the Man vs. Machine Expert mode, which is they released some new tier difficulties for Man vs. Machine. There's now an easy mode, a normal mode, and a hard mode. And hard mode, which is called Expert mode, earns its name. I mean, it really earns it. The group of friends that I was playing it with, we all have 1,000 hours or more on the game, and it was hard for us. Like, it was a pain in the ass for us to finish those missions. And
How is this a horror thing, Richard? I'm not feeling it yet. Not feeling it yet.
Get to
What's
that.
the connection?
just stop.
Get there. Get there.
Stop interrupting me. Stop
Get
interrupting.
there.
He had to make a choice whether to shoot a robot in the head or let it live.
Sit down.
Or to use a hatchet.
Yeah.
Do you remember the giant rapid fire rocket guys that you had to fight when we played?
the giant rapid fire rocket guys.
Yeah, the big guys with the rocket launchers, they would just shoot rockets constantly.
I mean, that sort of feels like a couple of them, but yeah.
Okay. Well, in the game, there are these giant robots called the giant rapid fire soldiers, and they have these rocket launchers, and they fire rockets constantly, and they make this sound like as they're firing it. And for me, they're the worst enemy in the entire game because they can take down a sentry really fast. They can kill anything in like 3 or 4 hits most of the time. In expert mode, you have to fight upwards of like 15 of those guys at once. And there were a couple of the missions where we just spent like an hour trying to get past the waves with just those guys, where it's like there's just such a ridiculous amount of rockets flying around that you can't do anything. And we spent so much time just trying to get past those rocket guys, and I started I kept hearing that sound even when I wasn't playing the game, just like so it got to me. It's like it was so hard and so stressful to get past that part that that sound is still in my head sometimes.
Did you ever manage to beat it?
Oh yeah, we did eventually.
Crisis
It
of
sounds
it.
more like a PTSD story than a horror story, Richard.
I
You may
think
want to seek some help for that.
Yeah.
I think people with PTSD would argue that it's the same thing.
Touche, sir.
Now, I
Zing!
have PTSD, so I'm not speaking from a position of expertise, but
If you could recommend one scary game for this Halloween season, what would it be? Mine would be Clock Tower. Go back and find Clock Tower, play Clock Tower. Probably the scariest, most tense game I've played in a long time, probably ever. Anybody else?
I would second that. I would have to second that. That game is really scary, and I think it's really fresh and original. It's different too. Like I haven't played very many horror games that are like that one, so I would totally second that.
I don't know how it would stand up. I assume it would still. It's PlayStation 1, I think. I don't know if it would stand up as well. I played it when it first came out. I feel like it still would be a really good game though.
It would probably look like complete dog shit.
Yeah.
It would look really bad, and it would control really stiffly. But like if you want to just, the concept is, I think, still would be solid. So maybe if you can put up with like those really, 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 really ancient production values and the wonkiness of it, it's worth it, I think.
Actually, do you guys ever feel that old games tend to be a lot scarier because the graphics are really bad?
Oh, that's a good point. And you're filling a lot of it in with your imagination?
I don't know if it's so much that you're filling it in. It's more that it just looks kind of blocky, disturbing. Like, I started playing System Shock 2 once, only for like an hour, because, I don't know, it was just too like RPG-ish and complex for what I was in the mood to get into at that time. But like the creatures in it just look like really, they're disproportionate and grainy and pixelated. And I feel like there's kind of something when I'm playing an old game, like a PS1 game, you kind of have this feeling that like I shouldn't be playing this, Not necessarily because like it, because you should only play new games, but it feels kind of like archaic and wrong, like you're discovering something from like this bygone era.
Taking a peek into the Cthulhu universe.
Yeah, but I'm serious though. Like a lot of old games kind of have that effect where they're just like there's this extra layer of like unreality because they don't look, they don't look polished, or even new games that, they just don't look like anything new.
You're sort of equating with like a grainy black and white snuff film or something.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
It's
an interesting thought. Yeah, it's an interesting thought. Yeah.
Plus, they control like you're underwater. Those games, so if you're trying to run from something, it makes it even scarier because you're running into walls and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have a recommendation?
Amnesia. Amnesia's the only. It's the scariest game I've ever played, and I haven't played a ton of scary games, but that one.
You don't strike me as someone that would scare easily either, Richard, unless you're fighting robots with machine guns. So if that scared you, I think Amnesia definitely a good one to take into account.
Yeah.
Brad, you've been hearing from the Twitterverse?
Yeah, I put out a message to Twitter just a few minutes before we recorded. I said, if you have any stories, anecdotes, comments, anything to throw them in. So it was kind of short notice, but we got a couple. One was from @LineDrag, and this person says, "Here's a spooky Halloween story: ghosts with 2 question marks." So it's ghosts with question marks. And then apparently, he goes on to say, the question marks make it mysterious. So ghosts with question marks. And a good friend, Duckles, @Duckles, said, the studio that made Turning Point, Fall of Liberty, and Legendary is still in business and currently working on 2 AAA games. So that apparently is quite frightening.
Jeffrey, you got some games to name check?
Sure. I mean, if you're asking for our number one pick, I'd still go with Amnesia, but a couple that are really close behind that is the PS2 Fatal Frame games, also known as Project Zero in Europe. But yeah, the concept there is you have this you fight ghosts with a camera, so it's like you walk around and explore in third person like a Silent Hill or Resident Evil. All the controls are a little bit better. They don't have that thing, but they're still a little awkward with the camera constantly moving, being choppy and showing things from obtuse angles. But when you're actually like in combat, you go into first person and you point your camera and you can kind of mix in between first and third, and it's very disorienting. And it's one of the things I really like about that game is that not all of the ghosts are actually enemies. Occasionally there will be a ghost that just pops up for a second. You just get experience for catching them.
Oh wow! It's like Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, sort of. Except some of them don't reappear. You only have like one chance to get them.
Okay.
And there's this one moment that I think it was in the second one, 'cause that's the first one I played, and I don't want to spoil it, but basically I was just looking at this piece of scenery, and usually, like I was looking for, it was just a very relaxed moment. Usually you can kind of hear a ghost coming or something, and I was just like looking around, and all of a sudden this ghost just popped up out of nowhere, and I totally jumped there, and it's, I don't know, I can't really do much else to say about them other than they're just really terrifying. Oh, also you have to you get more points if you take pictures of the ghosts closer up.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and the way that you fight them is, they're kind of circling around you and stuff, so you have to look. It's the opposite of Amnesia, where in Amnesia you don't want to look at the scary thing. In this, you have to look at it. So.
By the way, I just wanted to also mention that the 3DS update Spirit Camera was quite a disappointment, actually. And
I heard that.
Yeah, not that the concept of sort of taking that camera and and using the 3DS camera wasn't a good idea, but the technology just didn't seem to work. Like, there's a part in the game where you're supposed to scan the, you focus the camera on a booklet that comes with it, and it's a kind of a scary looking booklet, and the book comes to life and all that. And I just could not get this thing to work properly under normal indoor lighting. It was just really ridiculous. I'd have to move it to a table, try different lights, and I could not get it to work, and I kind of just gave up. But yeah, I mean, when I tested it out at PAX East, it still sounded like a good idea, but I don't know if you have to try to play it outdoors or something to get the proper kind of lighting so that it could see the book properly.
So you couldn't get a Nintendo gimmick to work properly? That's shocking, Chi. That's for Mike.
Yeah.
That's for Mike. So
Yep.
Spirit Camera not so hot.
Nope.
But Fatal Frame in general, good series to get into this time of year.
Yeah, the PS2 ones for sure.
Do you have anything else?
I don't know. Siren was pretty good.
Oh, no,
played,
it wasn't, dude. Don't recommend that.
I don't know. I played the PS3 one. Is that the one you're talking about? Or are you
They're
talking
all
about...
crap, dude. They're all crap. It's like I want to like them, but I got into the biggest argument on Twitter over Siren, and it was like, you can't tell somebody that they're wrong for liking something. So, props to anybody who likes something and goes with it. I mean, no disrespect there, but dude, I tried to get into every single Siren that was released. I think was it 3 total that were released in the United States? It was either 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think there were 2 on the PS2 and then the remake on PS3, which is the only one.
Oh my god. Okay, so for those who don't know, Siren, it's like you are a character who arrives in a town, and then the people of the town become kind of like these weird zombies. And the whole point of the game is that you can see through the eyes of the zombies, and so you're supposed to be able to manipulate, or just you're supposed to know where they're looking, and then you jump back in your body so that you can dodge them because you can't really fight them.
See, that sounds cool.
It kind of does sound cool, but dude, I found it to be the biggest fucking pile of just not working bullshit. I couldn't get the controls to work. I had a really hard time figuring out who was looking where and when. And, if you get caught, you get instantly killed and stuff. And the whole thing, to me, was just pure awfulness and just an idea that sounded like a good idea that never worked. But it does have fans. I mean, Jeff, what did you like about it?
Okay, well, I only played the PS3 one, the remake. I've not played the earlier ones. And I had kind of a mixed reaction. I wasn't super passionate about it or anything, but it had that cool mechanic where, you can see through their eyes. And I don't know if the earlier ones are like this, but in the PS3 one, it becomes split screen. So you're moving on one half of the screen, and in the other half, you're seeing everything in this sort of black and sepia toned filter through their point of view, which is pretty cool. And I'm not sure if this is intentional or a technical flaw, but it becomes quite choppy at times. But it's, I don't know, it kind of just made the game really creepy because at least in the PS3 one, there's a dot that will show where you are. So, because it's really hard to tell what's going on through the view. So you could at least
just stop right there, dude. There's no way you can. I mean, listen to this. I can't see. It gets really choppy. There's a dot that tells you where you are because you don't know where you are. That's the scary part, isn't it? It just runs like shit.
Yeah, I mean, it could have run better, but I don't know, there were definitely times where when you could manipulate it correctly, when you could actually tell where they're walking, because you could like put a bead on one of them and be seen through their eyes. It's almost like a stealth game where you can like see them, walking around through their patrol pattern, and then you have to, get out of the closet at the right time and run across the house. Like it, it's a very mild recommendation, but I think that it's, had some really cool ideas. I definitely agree could have been executed a lot better. It wasn't super memorable, but conceptually it's kind of cool.
I can agree with that. Conceptually, I think it's very, very interesting, and I'll just stop talking there.
Sure.
All right. We will be right back with thumbs up, thumbs down, and then we're going to go into a spoiler-ridden discussion of Walking Dead Episode 4. Stay with us. We are back. Thumbs up, thumbs down first before we go into the Walking Dead spoiler discussion. So, I would like to give a thumbs down to Tim Burton. Stop fucking casting Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter in every one of your movies. Thank you.
What was the latest casting announcement?
I just saw Dark Shadows tonight, which I wasn't expecting that much from. I thought it was terrible. I knew Johnny Depp was in it, but fucking Helena Bonham Carter shows up as well. I'm just sick of those two always in all the Tim Burton movies. It's just a personal irk of mine. I guess there's nothing really wrong with the two of them together. But I think Johnny Depp's better without Tim Burton. I think Tim Burton, a lot of his stuff without Johnny Depp is better. I don't like them together so much.
And what's your feeling on Helena Bonham Carter?
I just don't like her. I don't know. I just don't like her. There's something about her irks me. I think it's just because Tim Burton casts her and everything.
Well, she's also his wife, so
that makes it even worse, though. It's like nepotism.
My wife just recently ranted on hating Helena Bonham Carter as well, so you're not the only person.
Good. I'm glad I'm not the only one that has an irrational hatred of Helena Bonham Carter.
Well, no one said it was irrational. I think you might have some rational reasons. But why does your wife not like her?
I don't know if it's just. I think it's partly because of the whole dirty, grungy look that she always looks like she hasn't taken a shower in like a week or something.
Tim Burton's got that greasy hair. I think they just don't shower.
They're perfect together then.
They deserve each other. Brad, thumbs up, thumbs down. We always go last with you, so let's start with you this time.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'm up for changing the lineup here. I have 2 thumbs up this week. The first one is for the movie Dredd that just it's still in theaters right now. It came out fairly recently. It's based on, of course, the Judge Dredd comic book that was really popular like in the late 80s, early 90s. And I think the actual title of it is Dredd 3D. But truth be told, when I went to go see it, I did not see the 3D version. I didn't want to pay extra for the glasses and all that shit. So I just went to go see it. And you know what? It was really, really good. I thought it was an awesome film. Have you guys seen it?
I haven't seen it yet, but I was kind of rooting for it. And I kind of like Carl Urban. I think he does, I just like the kind of movies he does. So, yeah.
It was great, man. I was shocked at how good it was. I mean, so for to give just a real quick nutshell on it. So this is kind of a dystopian future kind of thing where, the entire population of Earth is apparently scrunched down into one giant like mega city, and they have these giant towers, which are called blocks, and they hold 75,000 people per building. So they're kind of like little mini cities unto themselves. And these judges go around, enforcing the laws, but not only are they police officers, they can, execute people on the spot and hand down sentences. And it's like a super hardcore kind of nihilistic. Some people say it has a real Paul Verhoeven kind of feel to it. which I think is pretty accurate. So this film is about Judge Dredd, who is, one of the baddest judges of the Judge Corps, and he goes along with Judge Anderson, who's a famous character from the comics, and she's a psychic. And they get kind of trapped in this building, and all this stuff goes down, and hijinks ensue. But what I liked about it was I thought it was very true to the character. I thought they were very faithful to the comic material, and it was fucking hardcore violent. I was shocked at how much violence was in this film, and I don't say that like it's a bad thing. I mean, I think it was good. But as I was sitting there in the theater, I was like, holy shit, like when is the last time I've seen a dude's head explode and his brains go out all over the sidewalk in like a regular, usually I'm watching that stuff at 2 o'clock on Netflix or, when I've got friends over watching a horror film. I'm like in the middle of a theater at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and this guy's getting a bullet going through his fucking skull, and like his cheek is getting ripped open, and you can see his jaw and his teeth getting shot out the other side. And I'm like, dude, this is great. This is crazy. This level of violence movie is crazy. But it was good. It was really good. Like the action was super tense. Carl Urban did a great job as Judge Dredd. I'm afraid I don't know who the actress was who played Judge Anderson, but she did a great job as well. Nonstop, just go, and just tense stuff all the way through. I thought it was super, super thumbs up. So I liked it, but the shame of it is that the last I checked, this film was doing abysmal at the box office. I think it cost, I'm going to totally get this wrong, and I'm sure we're going to get emails about this, but I think it cost something like $20 million to make, so pretty low end as far as blockbusters go. But I think it only made something like $6 million total, which is really, really bad. I mean, they didn't even make their money back. And after watching the film, I think it's a shame because it's an awesome film. But on the other hand, Judge Dredd is not really a known quantity in the United States. I mean, it's mostly a UK thing. That's where it's from. Yeah. And
when you think of Dredd, you think of Stallone, which is not good.
Right.
Which was terrible.
Yeah.
That was a terrible film. Sylvester Stallone should have never done that character. But
right.
PR must be doing a terrible job because I haven't heard anybody talking about it except on Twitter. And nobody knows who Judge Dredd is in the first place. And it's just a shame that this film is tanking financially because it was really, really good. So if you get a chance, Dredd, total thumbs up. So there's that one. I have just one more quick thumbs up. Thumbs up to a new sci-fi show I just started watching called Lost Girl. I had never heard of it before, like last week. And my wife was scanning iTunes one day, just randomly clicking through stuff, and she's like, "Oh, here's a sci-fi show we haven't checked out. You want to watch it?" I'm like, whatever, sure. So it turned out to be pretty good, and I was really taken aback by how good it was. The premise is that the main character is she's a succubus, but she doesn't know that at the beginning. She just she knows something's wrong with her. She's really weird. She ends up killing dudes that she sleeps with, and it's all just, my life sucks, boo-hoo. But she eventually meets up with these other supernatural creatures, and, long story short, she turns up a new leaf as a detective, and so she takes on these cases where she's helping people out, and she's using her succubus powers. And the thing I like most about it is it has a really strong adult spin. I mean, there's a lot of swearing in the show, but it's appropriate swearing. Like, it feels natural. It doesn't feel weird or shoehorned in. There's a lot of sex in it, but again, it feels like it's okay, And the main character, her name is Bo. She is kind of atypical in the sense that she doesn't shy away from being very straightforward. She's not afraid of violence. She's not afraid of sexuality. And so whenever something comes up like that, like in the first episode, I expected her to kind of like shy away from violence as most women characters do. And she was just like, fuck yeah, we're doing it. And I'm like, whoa, she just went for it. And she starts kicking ass. And I'm like, man, it's really refreshing to see a strong female character who just takes charge of things and gets things done. And, it's just a nice change of pace. I mean, the writing's really snappy. Most of the cast is really, really good. I think they've got a good cast going with a lot of good chemistry. And it's been pure win so far. I've seen, I think, 4 or 5 episodes out of 2 seasons total. But I'm loving it so far. I'm watching one a night, and it's been really good.
Is this BBC, or what is this?
No, it's American Sci-Fi. And I think it's on really, really late at night because I've never even heard of this show, and it's already in its 2nd season. And if you go on Twitter, you start digging around on Google, there's apparently a pretty big hardcore fan base of it. But I have never, ever, ever, ever heard of it. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't even know it was a show. But it's a thing, and I think it's just on really late at night because it's used so adult.
Brad, can I ask you, aside from the actual sex, would you say the show is kind of sexy?
Yeah, man, I really would. I mean, the main character is, super sexy. Her sidekick, definitely not my kind of person, but, I can see how a lot of people would go for that. And, I mean, just everybody in the show has a sexuality, and they talk about it. It's not it's not like this weird taboo thing. Like everybody's kind of okay with it, which is again really, really refreshing. It's almost like if you watched the good episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer with more sex and more swearing and less of the weird, crappy stuff that came towards the end of the show. So it's like a darker kind of Buffy, and I mean that in like a really positive way. So I give Lost Girl total thumbs up.
Sounds cool.
It's a good show. Check it out. I do not think you'll be disappointed.
Chi, thumbs up, thumbs down?
Sure, I've got several. Let me try to run through them as quick as I can. First, big thumbs down to Lance Armstrong. The USADA report came out, I think, last week, and I've got a very nuanced and sort of complex and gray view of steroids. So I was, I never held the steroids against Lance Armstrong, but what I do hold against him is him sort of acting like a total douchebag, like when he's sending like creepy text messages to like the wife of one of his former riders, to sort of threaten them, and all this general douchebaggery of him trying to like cover this stuff up and like I said, threaten people that tried to expose all that. So yeah, just big thumbs down there to Lance Armstrong. Thumbs up to Taken 2. Sort of, it's sort of like I think the way Brad described Dread, sort of these low-key action films, and I'm glad, and that's what I loved about the first Taken film, and this Brian character that Liam Neeson plays, it's sort of like, it feels like this is like the character he was born to play for whatever reason. It just feels so right in that regard. And Taken 2, it's not as good as Taken 1, but it's still a film that knows where its core is. It doesn't try to overstep itself, and I think there's always something to be said about films that do that. Where they stay in their lane very firmly, but yet at the same time they execute it very well, and it's a generally entertaining film. So I like Taken 2. I recommend it. Also wanted to move on to Transformers now. So first of all, a thumbs up to Hasbro, because they finally have sort of, after what I felt like a 2-3 year drought of just screwing up the whole Transformers Prime figures when they first launched with the first editions that were like sort of these limited previews, and overstocking on the Dark of the Moon figures, which were mostly crap. They finally sort of started to get their act in order. They're re-releasing the first edition figures because they were better than the actual Prime figures that did finally come out, and the fans were so upset that they actually listened to the fans and they said, we'll figure out a way to get those out in the stores, and they are starting to show up on shelves again. They recently released a Masterpiece Thundercracker, which is the second version of the Starscream Masterpiece mold, which was supposed to be more superior to the original mode. And then they released the Masterpiece Optimus Prime, the second mold, which is the MP10 from the original Masterpiece Prime, which is also, this is the thing of beauty, man. If you actually see this thing in person, it's like it belongs in a museum. You have to see it to believe it. I mean, even when I showed it to my wife and my kid, they were just like, whoa, like they're just blown away. You have to see this thing. And unfortunately, it's very hard to find on top of that. And then there's a whole bunch of other figures. A lot of the Transformer Prime figures, they recently announced on the New York Comic Con, the Beast Hunter lineup that's going to come with the new Season 3 of Transformers Prime. So, man, this is going to be a really rough holiday season. I'm already sort of priming all my family members to just give me cash for my Christmas gifts to pay for all this shit. But yeah, man, but it's a good time to be a Transformers fan. On top of that, my final thumbs up goes to, again, on Transformers. Something I never really got into, but I'm starting to get into a little bit more now, is something called third-party Transformers. Brad, you know about third-party stuff in general?
Yeah, you're talking about the add-on, like, modification pieces and the accessories.
Yeah,
and stuff like that, right?
yeah, and they've always been kind of really super expensive, and I kind of always told myself, when figures sort of hit a certain price point, I'm sort of like, that's it for me. I'm just going to kind of ignore it. And so I kind of ignored some of these figures. And, I thought that was to my own detriment. Yeah, they're a little more costly, but then if you wait, even after that, it's even more expensive. So I should have just got in on some of these when they first came out. And, yeah, they're really amazing. I mean, they're basically like the figures that everyone wants that Hasbro never gets around to making, or that they somehow don't make. And it's really mind-blowing how good this stuff is. I mean, it's really amazing. Like, I don't know who these people are. I don't know if they're like former employees or they're just straight up fans, but they obviously know how to make toys. So, they go in there, they'll take either an existing figure and make add-on parts so that, like for example, they took one of these other what is it, Combaticon combiners, which looked like absolute
Bruticus,
crap.
right?
Yeah, it was a Bruticus Maximus from the Energon line. It looks like absolute dog shit when you see the original figure. They created 2 replacement figures and sort of the add-on parts, and then it looks like the cartoon, like even better than anything you've ever seen on the cartoon. If you ever, it was made by Fans Project. If you ever do a search on like Fans Project Bruticus and you look at this thing, it's a thing of beauty. And yeah, it's really expensive now because it's like they made it in 2009 and it's since long sold out. But if I had gotten in on it then, it wouldn't actually have been that bad. So now I'm trying to keep more of an eye out just to try to get them when they come out first. That way I don't have to pay like hundreds later. But and there's other other kits and projects that these other companies have made, like Fans Project, TFC, Make Toys. They were quite amazing. I picked up a bootleg Battle Tanker from Make Toys, which is a remake of the Black Convoy or Scourge figure. That it's pretty cool as well. So thumbs up to that. Then that's it for me. Thanks.
All right, Jeffrey, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Sure. So I remember a month or two back, she was really highly recommending 21 Jump Street. So, yep, I got a chance to see that on the plane, and I loved it. It was, it's not a deep movie by any stretch of the imagination, but man alive, is that thing funny. So...
It's deep in its own little way. It doesn't knock you over the head with it, but...
It's clever.
Yeah.
Ice Cube is amazing as the police chief. Like I love how there's a lot of meta humor about remakes in the remake. That's really well done. So that was good. I saw Looper a couple weeks back. I really loved that too. I'm usually not really into time travel movies because I generally find them kind of confusing. And indeed, when I thought about like the internal logic of the film afterwards, it, no pun intended, it threw me for a loop. but like while it's going on, it has a very clear through line in the actual story. So it's not one of those. Like, I remember everyone loved Primer when that came out, and I just found that, like, such a headache to keep track of. And I found this a lot clearer and more surprising in a lot of ways, too. I mean, it's just a really good, dark, like, crime thriller with some sci-fi stuff. And it's... I went into it literally knowing nothing about it other than who made it and who was in it, and I heard it was good. So...
Did you think it was mind-blowingly good? Because some people sort of jizzed their pants on Facebook and Twitter when it came out.
I wouldn't quite say it was mind-blowingly good because it was a lot. I definitely not want people to go in with that expectation. I went in, expecting it to be pretty good, but also kind of skeptical too. I mean, it's the director of Brick that I wasn't really that into, but I could tell that he had talent, and maybe next time we get it together and. It was mostly just... I actually saw it opening night, but I heard all the buzz about it beforehand and from critics. So, I don't think it'll blow your mind, but I can't honestly think of a better time travel movie off the top of my head.
And don't you hate it when people do that, when they set your expectations so high, and then you go into the movie and it's not like quite that good? It's like, come on, man, save those mind-blowing reactions for like stuff that really deserves it, So now I feel like Looper is not that kind of film, and I feel like I'm gonna go in there and be let down now,
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, it's not that kind of film, so maybe you'll be more impressed now when you go into it.
Yeah, hopefully you balanced it out now. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Not mind-blowing, but very good. A lot more entertained than I expected. That, and I'm sure this is going to be super old news by the time the podcast airs, but have you guys seen this Gawker piece on... there's a video of Reverend Phil Snyder talking...
Yes.
I watched it just before the podcast.
Springfield, Missouri.
Is this about the segregation thing?
Okay, you already know all this.
Yeah, I totally interrupted you setting up. Though, go ahead and explain to them what it is.
I don't know. I feel like at this point, if you guys have all heard it, then everyone will.
I actually haven't heard it, so.
Well, okay, fine. I'll describe it, but you might want to cut it because I just feel like it's going to be super old.
I guarantee some of our listeners will not know.
I almost thumbs up it too. So go ahead.
Oh, okay, fine. So this guy, Reverend Phil Snyder, had series in Missouri.
Yes.
Yes, Springfield, Missouri.
Yep, Missouri pastor. There's this clip on Gawker of him talking about gay marriage, and he has like this 2-minute tirade about how, you know, homosexuals are the scourge of, of the earth, basically, and like how, we'd be taking away rights from, good Christian people, and it was just like this very inflammatory speech, and then he starts to stumble and says, so the thing about segregation, and he like stumbles and he's looking at his notes, it's like, so segregation is, sorry everyone, I brought the wrong notes. These are from the previous century. I just swapped out the word racial integration with gay rights, and it sounds exactly like all the rhetoric I've been hearing around today.
It was genius.
Yeah, that was
So
brilliant
genius.
stuff. Brilliant stuff. And so fucking true, seriously. I mean, you try to put a spin on it, but call a spade a spade. I mean, it's discrimination just like anything else.
Yeah, and the way he came off when he was reading it, just like every other asshole that says that shit. So it was so cool when he just turned it around on everybody.
Mhm.
And he did a great job of acting like he actually messed up.
Yeah.
That was genuinely mind-blowing. I don't know about Looper, but that to me was mind-blowing.
Yeah, and it was in like I don't know if you guys know anything about Springfield, but like Springfield, Missouri is like the most fucking churchy place you are ever gonna go to. So for him to like pull that off there in like the epicenter of like the like churchy anti-gay marriage movement is just it's mind-blowingly brilliant.
And he got some applause afterwards. I was trying to gauge the audience the whole time. You can see people in the background looking kind of stone-faced and listening, and I honestly couldn't tell. It seemed like they were happy with him at the end, so it seems like they were for him, but it was hard to tell.
Yeah, I was watching the audience the whole time too, and yeah, they were stone-faced, and then when he started to mess up, they were kind of like, what? But you know what? He got people's attention, because when he stumbled, all of a sudden everybody started listening, because people like to watch other people mess up. So he got people's attention, and then he hit him with the message, and that was brilliant, I thought, and he deserved that applause. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the fact...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just saying, the fact that 4 out of 5 of us have seen this, and looking at the Gawker thing, it went up at 5:28, and maybe the video is up a little before that, but so maybe that's East Coast time. So this had only been up for like 7 or so hours before we started recording.
Yeah.
So yeah, so good on him.
Yeah, big thumbs up.
Huge thumbs up. Absolutely.
Richard, you got some thumbs?
I do have thumbs, and Chi, prepare to have your expectations set a little bit lower. Thumbs up to Looper. I thought it was good. I did not think it was very good. I came away entertained. I think it was about 20 to 30 minutes too long. There's a lot of extraneous stuff there that I think could have stood to be cut out to make the film a little bit better. I enjoyed it. I mean, I felt like I got my ticket money's worth. It's not really something I really have any desire to see again, but it was decent. Also, thumbs up to the Strange Diamond Bot Killer Metagun, which was my reward for finishing one of the expert mode mission in Team Fortress 2. And if you're not familiar with it, it's like you get, for finishing the expert mode, there's like a set of items that you can get. And there's like the carbonite weapons, which are the most common ones, and then there's also like you have like a 1 in 100 chance of getting. That's actually a pretty good idea, Jeff. I like it.
Every time Richard brings up Team Fortress 2, can we have a sound effect? I think when Chi was talking about people jizzing in their pants, that's the sound effect. Chi saying jizzing in the pants.
Get the sound of like a some porn actor or something.
Yeah.
Cut to the money shot whenever Richard brings up Team Fortress 2.
It can be Richard going, hey.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Richard.
Don't touch me. Don't touch
But-
me. Stop. Don't touch me.
Anyway, you have like a 1 in 100 chance of getting one of the diamond items, and they're so rare that if I actually tried to sell it on like a trade server, it's worth like $50 to $60 in real money. If I
Holy
actually tried to
shit.
sell this in-game item that does not exist in real life. So that was pretty stoked, because like if I go into a public server with that metagun equipped, people look at you like you're a god. They're like, oh, diamond weapon? Oh my god, let me look at it. And they just kind of gather around you and look at it. And sometimes they like crouch and walk up to you and they're trying to like kiss the diamond. It's a big ego boost. I liked it very much. Also, thumbs up to the Samsung Galaxy S3. I sold my iPhone. I decided to go back to Android. I've always been kind of more comfortable with Android anyway, and I'm really liking it a lot. It's very fast. It doesn't have any of that Android lag or Android bullshit that I had with the previous versions of Android, and so far it's just been a great phone.
All right. Those are our thumbs up and our thumbs down. We are going to take a quick break, and we are going to be right back with a spoiler-heavy conversation about Walking Dead Episode 4. If you've not played Walking Dead Episode 4 and you don't want to be spoiled, this is where you stop listening. If you want to be spoiled, keep listening. I hope I made that clear enough for everybody. We're going to spoil Walking Dead Episode 4 right after this. This segment goes out to Muffin, who was disappointed last episode that we did not talk about Walking Dead Episode 4. And I mean, we were going to talk about it tonight anyway, but let's throw it out to Muffin regardless because I like that username. We are going to spoil Walking Dead Episode 4 once again, so stop listening if you don't want to be spoiled. Richard, you wanted to go first on this, so I'm expecting you to have something awesome to say.
Well, I don't know if it's awesome, but I definitely have something to say. Mm-hmm. So far, I have loved this game. I loved episodes 1, 2, and 3. I loved the way... I just loved pretty much everything about the series up to this point. But episode 4, I did not like this at all. It was a huge letdown compared to the first 3 episodes. compared to the first 3 episodes. It's just... every single choice was a no-brainer. There was no intensity to anything I was doing. What? The story was very... meandering. It didn't feel like it was going anywhere. Like at the end they end with the exact same almost the exact same cliffhanger that they ended with on episode 3. But I just didn't. They spent like the whole episode talking up these Crawford people, and then you get to their combat. It's like, oh, there's just zombies here, so it's like nothing.
We're getting way ahead of ourselves. So Richard, you hate it. I totally feel you. I actually think that this was a really bad episode too. How about let's go through it like sequentially, because that seemed to work really well. Okay. Last episode, we kind of covered everything and the choices, but let's take really quickly. Like, can we all sound off on how we liked it?
Yeah, I played it in 2 sittings. I started falling asleep, which should say a lot about the first half. The first half to me, I agree with Richard, but the second half, mind-blowingly amazing. So it pulled me back in, for me. What about you, Brad?
I overall did not care for it that much. I was a little surprised because the people at Telltale had been talking about Gary Whitta, who is a Hollywood writer, and really hyping this, and they were so excited that they got him on board. And I feel like this was the weakest episode overall. So we'll talk about the details, but in general, this is probably my second. This is my, if not the least favorite, the second.
I can agree, weakest episode. Chi, what about you?
Well, I'm kind of surprised at you guys there. I mean, I thought the writing was. It's typical strong, as it normally is. I mean, I wouldn't say it stood out as better or worse in particular. There were a couple of weird niggling points here and there, and I'll talk about them as they come along, that kind of made me sort of, sort of say what a little bit. But overall, I thought it was in terms of gameplay wise, I thought it was a pretty well executed episode overall. Maybe a little too long, but I don't know. I'm kind of surprised that you guys are down on it this much, though.
What about you, Jeff? Free?
So before I played it, I was kind of dreading it a little bit because I love the series, but as Brad was mentioning, they were really hyping Gary Whitta, who wrote the Book of Eli, which I have to admit I didn't see, but I've heard the ending of that, and it just sounds like the stupidest fucking thing. So I was really worried that he was going to throw in like this really hackneyed shocker, like some kind of, Sixth Sense, like, type of mystery, especially combined with the cliffhanger we had at the end of 3. So the whole time I was playing, I was like, okay, this is pretty good so far. It's pretty good. Just, don't blow it. And he didn't blow it. There are some things that did bother me a little bit. I do think it's the weakest of the 4, but I think even the weakest of the 4, it was still, on the whole, still quite good.
My feeling about it, before we move into specifics, is that if you play it all the episodes back to back, it won't stand out as weak as it did once you've been waiting for it for a month. Because I think there was a lot of action in the previous episode. It was kind of more of a down episode. But I also want to say I was in Savannah this past weekend, and so they did a really good job of recreating Savannah. We can talk about that more when we get to that part. But so it starts, Richard, and correct me if I'm wrong. I know you have a list in front of you, but you're in Savannah and you find this house, right?
Yes.
And so what's the best way you guys want to do this? You just want to talk through it from front to back?
Yeah, let's just go through. Richard, you got the list. Why don't you read the first choice and we can kind of talk about what surrounds that. I mean, we don't need to do like a event by event thing, but maybe the choices will. Yeah.
The first major choice, as dictated by the game, is you find this child zombie in the attic of this house that you stumble upon when you're in Savannah. Like, they're hiding out in this house, they're exploring it, and there's like this kid. He tried to hide out in the attic, but he eventually just starved to death, and so Kenny is the one that finds him up there. And obviously with what happened to Duck in the last episode, he's had some issues with children. It's a very traumatic thing finding him there, and Kenny is just completely stunned. And so your choice is either kill the boy yourself as Lee, or have Kenny do it. And the statistical breakdown on it was like 80% of players killed the boy himself. And I'm just like, why on earth would you make Kenny do that? He's like completely prone and stunned. It's like, even if you asked him to do it, he couldn't. He would probably just sit there and do nothing. So it's like, this is probably one of the biggest problems, if not the biggest problem I had with this episode, is that every single choice is a complete no-brainer.
I was in the minority, the very big minority, and one of the choices we'll talk about later. But this one, yeah, it was a no-brainer, and it seemed like they tried to play up the emotion of it, but I didn't feel like bad about shooting a zombie, whether it was a kid or not.
Yeah.
Did everybody shoot them themselves? Go ahead, Brian.
I didn't actually, but yeah.
Okay, we'll definitely want to hear about that. Yeah. But for me, I thought this was actually probably the best scene of this episode for me. I thought it was very touching. I mean, it was kind of sad to hear about how that little boy died in the attic all alone, and he became a zombie, and he's like this really small, pathetic zombie. I mean, that to me was pretty sad. Like, I thought that was like adding some humanity to the victims of the zombie epidemic, which was needed. And, of course, it's a very obvious callback to what happened in episode 3 with Duck dying. It made sense in an emotional way, but I agree with Richard. I think this choice was a very stupid choice. I don't think it made a lot of sense. It was very cumbersome as a way of trying to, get that same emotional note back that was so powerful in episode 3. It's too soon for that. It felt really ham-handed, and I did not appreciate it at all.
And they made you bury him and do like a little pushing the button on the dirt, and it was just annoying. You didn't shoot him?
I didn't shoot him, and this is where the choice plays a very interesting role in how the game unfolds, because in the previous episode I did shoot Duck, and I thought I fell into the category of people who thought this is just not something a parent should have to do themselves, right? But at the same time, I heard Brad's view on this. I thought it was a very interesting take, and it affected my view to some extent. So I definitely kept that in the back of my mind. So when this point of the game came, and I'm not sure this is why they did it or not, but then I felt like, okay, so now here is Kenny's chance to sort of redeem himself, as that person who should have maybe taken that responsibility. So that's why I had him do it. So it kind of completed the circle for me. So I thought it worked out fine for me. I didn't think it was a bad choice. I thought it was interesting that how it played out based on what I did, in the previous episode. And I gotta say, I'm actually surprised that you thought that the burying the child scene was actually bad, because I actually thought that was really well done, and I actually really appreciated the game. It was a little annoying after a while to have to constantly push the shovel button, But at the same time, I also like how the game sort of just lets you be sometimes. It's not constantly trying to beat you over the head with stuff, you know.
Right.
That's sort of been a hallmark with the series, and it was more prevalent in maybe the first episode and less in the second and third. But I thought that was a callback to that, just sort of letting the situation be what it was, let people sort of ponder it a little bit. And I thought that was really interesting.
But for me, it was a zombie. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say it's like I thought the burial scene was actually pretty good. Like I thought that was actually my favorite part of the episode, because I thought that was actually the most powerful thing in the whole episode, when you're really seeing the impact of this, because like now like you're humanizing the zombies, and that's a good thing. I liked that. I just didn't agree with making that one of like one of the 5 major choices that they track. It's just like, to me, that was just, I mean, I get what you're saying, Chi, and I understand like why you made the opposite choice, but I mean, for me, and it's like actually for the majority of people, because it was like 80-20 was the breakdown. Like 80% of players chose to shoot them themselves, and that was just, I don't know, that just did not work for me.
What about you, Jeffrey?
Well, first I just want to touch on something Richard said about like the 80-20 things. I feel like a lot of the time, 20 is still a big enough number that I think it's worth having. Like, I know no one here saved what was that guy's name in episode? Doug. And I didn't either. But like a friend of mine did save Doug, and he had a really interesting reason, which was because Doug looked like he was in more danger, and he was hoping he could save them both. So I feel like even these choices that you might see as cut and dry, like people have interesting, deviate from them. Like I'm the only one here who killed Larry, and I can talk about that later.
Yeah, I want to hear about that later.
Should I just do that now?
Yeah,
actually?
I mean, I'm interested to hear why you killed Larry.
Yeah,
okay. What episode was that? It was episode 2,
Two,
right?
That was
yeah.
episode 2.
Okay.
First of all, did you hate Larry like we all did?
Yeah, I hated Larry, but that's not why I killed him.
Mm-hmm.
I generally killed him because it seemed like the practical thing to do, because he would come back and I had, Clementine there, and, Kenny had to save his son. So I think that the problem is in how it was presented, because, Brad and I have discussed this, that it looked like there'd be no harm in at least waiting a few minutes and letting her try. And I get that, but for some reason, because it's a video game, like I just kind of saw it as like, this is the only time you're gonna have to choose this.
Mm-hmm.
And when Lily is saying like, no, I can save him, it seemed he was having a heart attack. It wasn't like he was a diabetic and just needed his insulin shot. It wasn't something. It seemed like she was just saying that because she was unwilling to acknowledge the truth that he was dying. Mm-hmm. So to me, it wasn't like she could actually save him, and I could tell that Kenny felt really bad about it. So I know all of you guys were all like shocked that Kenny all of a sudden like grabbed this cube and smashes the guy's brain in. But for me, it was like, Kenny and I were very remorseful about this thing we had to do. So I didn't think
Kenny was very remorseful at all, by the way. But
really, he seemed like it. Where he beforehand.
Yeah, after
don't get me started on Kenny, because it's like a freaking love-hate relationship.
I hate Kenny now after this.
I know, totally, but
yeah, this was the first time that I started dislike Kenny. Granted he snapped after everything, but I liked him up until 3, because I didn't have that like. That shock of him, like, all of a sudden doing something crazy.
Right.
It was more him kind of taking responsibility and, like that way he kind of pulls these signs like, hey, Lee, like, we need to, if he turns, this is bad. Like, the way he points that out. So I don't know. I didn't really find Kenny a dislikable character.
One of the things that's so great about this game is, like, it does force you to make hard decisions, and everybody's making their own decisions. There's no, like, even this decision that seemed about killing the zombie boy that seemed really easy for most of us. Chi picked a totally different route to go, and I think that's interesting about the game. And you can't say that about most games.
Yeah, I mean, I killed the zombie boy too, because I didn't want Kenny to have to deal with that. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think that Richard's right in that the choices are probably the least interesting in the series, but I still liked a lot of the individual scenes. I mean, to me, burying the boy, and I know it's super cliche, but the image of like the boy and his dog, like zombie,
right,
being dead and buried together, like, yeah, to me that was like really, really affecting. Especially when you have to like take the collar off the dog and you're worried that it's gonna like come back alive. but instead its head falls off.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, the tone of that, by the way, I thought was perfect. I mean, it had that sort of like odd, quirky, independent film feel to it. That whole scene, digging up the dog and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what's the next thing?
The next scene is when you are after you're in the sewer and you discover these like these people living in this morgue, this underground morgue, and one of them pulls a gun on you. His name is Vernon, and you have the option of either threatening him and telling him that if he shoots you, that I think it's like if you shoot me, a whole bunch of other people will come find you and blah blah blah, or you can just talk him down and try to get him to just drop the gun. And the breakdown was 71% of players, as opposed to 29%, talked him down.
Mm-hmm.
And my reasoning, I was in the majority on this one, and my reasoning was, he's got a gun on me. If I'm in no position to threaten him. Like, me threatening him, it's like, if I threaten him and he's like, "Well, something bad's gonna happen to you," it's like, how the hell are they gonna find their way down here through the sewer?
Well, just to clarify real quick, the actual question was, do you lie or do you tell the truth? Wasn't it? Like, wasn't that the actual?
Yeah.
No, I thought it was.
No, it was more threatened. There was a threatened lie. Yeah. Because I just looked at that and it definitely had like a, did you try to intimidate or something like that?
Okay, yeah, it's like you could talk him down or you could just try to scare him, and it's like. You're in no position to try to scare him.
You're outnumbered and he has a fucking gun on you.
Yeah. So yeah, I talked him down.
Did anybody try to scare him?
I talked him down as well, but I thought this was a really stupid choice. Like, I thought this shouldn't even have been a choice, honestly. I thought it was like when I looked at the tally screen at the end,
mm-hmm.
I had to think for a minute about what that choice even was.
I thought it was.
I didn't even remember what
at the end when it was that Clementine conversation happened.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry, I misremembered because I was thinking that the choice is whether to lie to him about Clementine, which is a more interesting choice. That's in the same conversation.
I talked him down like everybody else, but to me that wasn't any different because in every episode thus far, there's always been a couple of dumb questions which I didn't even feel like were questions half the time. So I felt like this question felt within that mold, and so it doesn't bother me that it was an actual question. So,
but for me, this episode, it picks up after this whole sewer business, because you're making two kind of choices that they don't seem that important. But for me, like, the episode it was a fail for me until about the time they got to Crawford. But I do want to say, since we've moved past it, like, they did a great job of recreating River Street in Savannah. And like, there was one point where I saw like a street sign that said like Lincoln on it, and that's a real street in Savannah. So they did a really good job recreating Savannah. I wanted to give them props on that.
Oh, interesting.
Before we also move on, I also wanted to say that the biggest disappointment for me was, at the end of the previous episode, it seemed like Lee and Clementine were like talking up this big plan that they were going to go find her
mm-hmm.
parents, and sort of maybe even entertain the idea of splitting up from the group. Now, this has sort of been my dream from like since episode 2 because I'm just basically can't stand a lot of the characters anymore, and I was really disappointed that it sort of strayed away from that. It became like the Kenny show. It was like all of a sudden Kenny's like the guy in charge, and it's Kenny's plan, and all we're trying to do is just like fulfill Kenny's dream here. And whenever there's 2 points where the parent, the parents sort of discussion of the parents come up, and there's not even a choice of saying yes, we'll go find her, or no, we won't. It's sorry, it's over. So that was kind of really disappointing to me.
Yeah, Jeffrey brought up a good question. Did you lie about Clem being your daughter? Because that seemed like a bigger choice, regardless of what the stat screen says. I just told the truth for like almost everybody this time.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing for most of the series. I've been telling the truth to pretty much everything. Like, I want to say that there's something I lied about, but I don't remember what it was now, so it must not have been that important. Mm-hmm. But it's like, there's no point in me hiding anything from these people, because I mean, it's gonna come out eventually.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, just to clarify for a second. So, number one, was that an actual choice, whether to lie about her being your daughter or not? Was that a choice, or was it? It was not an actual.
But it should have been.
What do you mean? It was a dialogue.
Yeah, but it wasn't one of the ones they were tracking.
It wasn't.
It's not the stat screen at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, I turned all that off, so I didn't know what was being tracked. I don't like the game like telling me, being like, it feels like it's just nudging me in the shoulder and being like, that's important.
Right.
So.
Well,
I prefer.
The other thing that I kind of want to bring up on that particular point about, do you lie about Clementine being your daughter? Over the course of the first 4 episodes, that question has come up a couple times, And I gotta say, I always don't understand how to even answer it, because on the one hand, it's like, are you asking me, is she like biologically my daughter? Because it seems like, I mean, I guess that's how they're expecting you to take it, and I say no, but at the same time, it's like, I kind of do feel like she's my daughter in the character of the game. Like, I'm kind of her, adopted father. We take care of each other. We're kind of like a quote unquote family now, and so it feels a little bit disingenuous of me to say no, because then it kind of feels like I don't care about her that much, or like I don't really like her that much, or
This is
she's
what
just tagging along,
This is what I love about Lee. Even though he's saying no, he always gives like a great follow-up response. He always says, even if you say no, he's like, no, but we found each other. We've been taking care of each other ever since. So the guy still goes along, with you afterwards, because he's like, oh, I still, he still use. It's still like they treat it like a daughter, because he says, oh, I had a daughter and I really feel for you guys. So I think it ends up being the same response one way or the other, though.
Yeah, but
but it just seems like bullshit to me to have to say no to that, because it feels emotionally wrong to me.
But if they find out later that you lied about it, they're gonna start. I don't know. I don't like lying to people in this game. It sketches me out because they always find out.
But that's the thing. I don't see it as lying, though, because you spent 4 episodes taking care of her. Her parents are like 99.9% probably dead,
right?
And you're totally like caring for her and teaching her and raising her. I mean, yeah, maybe not biologically, but I mean, I think that functionally, I think she kind of is your daughter. And I mean,
it's interesting that you put so much weight to that, and again, it speaks to the emotional part of the game. I mean, I say no, but I still feel all those things, and I never feel like the game holds it against me, because, like I said, Lee does always a great follow-up job of sort of explaining himself.
Yeah, I want to briefly. We haven't talked about this that much. But I wanted to give props to the voice actors in the game. There isn't, a lot of photorealism graphics-wise. A lot of the emotion comes from the really good writing and the amazing actors and actresses. And I think that Dave Fennoy really brings Lee to life. Like in a lot of games where there's a conversation tree or different dialogue options, a lot of the conversations don't sound very connected. But his reading of things is just really natural sounding. The girl that plays Molly, Erin Ash, I thought she was fantastic in this episode. So props to the voice acting a lot in this game.
Definitely.
So what's the next choice? What's the?
I just want to talk about the line thing just for a second.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel like there's one little thing that bothers me is the game kind of encourages you to be honest, because I think it's like trying to teach a moral lesson or something. But it's funny because in real life I'm very honest, but in the game I lied a lot because you have so little in this world.
Right.
So
yeah, but Jeff, are you being honest about being honest? I don't think you are. You could be lying right now.
I could be, but to me, like, in episode 3 where it encourages you to tell everyone about your past, I'm like, no, I don't want these people have trusted me. I don't want anything to interfere with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not relevant anymore. And in this case, the guy had a gun on me. Like, to me, it was worth saying anything I could to have him go along with me. And I liked it, even though I liked him, and he's there's a reaction shot of him being upset when he finds out, but he still acknowledges that, he still says, like, I know you care about that girl, and we can get to that part later. But I kind of liked, I don't know, I guess I just found it kind of, I kind of like that I live in this world where you're sort of encouraged to lie a lot just to get out of these bad situations.
But what's also interesting, I find also, is that a lot of the questions I'm pretty sure don't play a larger role in the outcome of the game. They're just sort of sprinkled throughout, to sort of get you in that decision-making mode. Mm-hmm. But and a lot of it, the weight of it is ultimately it's just the weight that you put into it, like Brad was doing to that one question about whether you call her a daughter or not. So mm-hmm. It's interesting though.
Yeah, I'd highly recommend to anyone who plays these games to turn off the whatever it is, the default setting where it tells you like what choices are choices or what's being tracked. It's way better if you have no idea and you're just playing it straight.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I might try that for episode 5.
I don't think mine is on. Yeah, I never noticed like any difference between. I never know what the big questions are. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it's off. I thought it was on.
Mine's on.
It is on by default.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. The first thing I do when I start any video game like ever is I go to the options screen and I see like what my options are.
Yeah, that's a good idea. What's the next option? What's the next choice, Richard?
The next choice is when you're doing your plan to like raid Crawford and steal like supplies you need for the boat. You have a decision of whether to bring Clementine with you on the
Yeah.
heist or to leave her at the house. And the breakdown was 78% versus 22% brought Clementine with them. And I also brought Clementine with me, primarily because the other option is leaving her in that house completely alone with a guy that could die
Yeah,
and turn into a zombie
exactly.
at any minute.
Totally.
It's weird to me though because earlier in the episode, it seemed like a lot of the choices were Lee scolding Clementine for like being like helpful and fighting. You know what I mean? And then it's weird that they kind of encourage you to take her with you.
Right. Yeah, I was actually praising Clementine for most of the game. Like anytime she did, like, because there's a scene where they're in Crawford and it's like, no, Lee runs out of bullets or something, or he can't shoot a zombie, and she like pops one from like right behind him, like a perfect headshot. I'm like, good, and she's like kind of scared. It's like one of the options is like, Clem, don't do that ever again. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Kid? She only got a perfect shot on that thing.
Did everybody?
Next time, you should do it faster.
Yeah, no, seriously.
My little sentry gun.
Did everybody take her with you?
I left her.
Did you?
Wow,
Really?
Really?
Yeah. No, I see. I was really surprised that I was in the minority on that. My reasoning was, you know, they've had all this build up to how horrible a place Crawford is, and I have to say the zombies being, you know, impaled on these things, you know, forever, like really affected me. Like it just seemed like such an abysmally awful place, and they don't allow children. So everyone else there could at least ostensibly, I don't know what the population is, so they probably all know each other, but at least from a distance, if you just see someone from far away, they're not going to stick out. They might just look like a person there.
Right.
But if you see a child, like, you know, from a mile away, it can be like, what the hell is that child doing there? So to me, it was just, you know, when I thought that it was being run by people, it just seemed so horribly unsafe for a child. You know, for someone who's noticeably a child who's that small.
Yeah.
And also when you don't take her with you, you then are given the choice of whether to give her your gun or not.
Oh, wow.
So I gave her my gun. So the whole time I'm in Crawford, I'm unarmed.
Holy shit.
And so yeah, I don't know if that really affected anything. I mean, all the Crawford scenes, like you running from stuff or trying to.
I used my gun a fair amount.
There's
yeah.
some major gun sequences.
I'm interested.
Wait, there are sequences where I shot. Actually, I can't remember where I got a gun from. Maybe someone gave it to me. Shit, maybe I had a second gun. I can't remember the details, but you can give Clem a gun, which, you know, my impression was that then I wouldn't have one, but maybe that didn't happen. But I gave her one, and then when you come back, it's quite suspenseful because you don't know if she's going to be okay or not, because you feel bad about leaving her alone, and she. So you know, you're looking around the house for a second, and she's there, and she had killed a zombie while just one zombie had wandered in, but she, you know, it's all while you were gone, but she was able to take care of herself.
That's cool.
Huh.
I wonder how the headshot part would have been different in Crawford.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Jeff about that.
I don't think
when we get to some parts, well, I'll ask.
Yeah, I think I just didn't get that scene. Brad was describing that to me, and there were a couple parts that I had to shoot people who were trying to get into a door. Yeah, like the old man.
I was gonna ask about that later, but when
okay, yeah, we'll get to that, but
yeah.
And even for as far as bringing Clementine with me, it's like even like beyond a safety standpoint, from a practical standpoint, there have been, I think, 2 or 3 times where Clementine has just like crawled in like a doggy door or a window or something. It's like some like really small opening that only she can get into. I'm like,
if I go, Richard would be like, I'll use a small child for helping me with the heist.
Well, yeah. I mean,
well, you know, even to be fair, Lee also even tells that to one of the guys. You know, he's like, she's been helpful. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, if you don't get this stuff back from Crawford, you're gonna die anyway. So, I mean, if she can help you get this stuff, if she can like crawl in a window and open a door or something where you can get like the, the battery, the fuel, and then something else. Like if she can get you one of those things, then I mean, why not bring her with you?
To me, it's dangerous no matter where you are. I'd rather be able to see her, so like if something happens to her, I know. You know what I mean? Like I want to be responsible.
Yeah,
exactly.
That was actually the hardest choice because I feel you on that, Dylan. Like I was really like, oh God, what do I do? No, I'm sorry, you can't come.
Yeah.
It's funny that and it wasn't even a hard choice for me, and I did take her, but it was not for the reasons everyone's mentioned thus far. The reason I took her was because there's the scene before where he goes off with Kenny to find the boat. she lays this huge guilt trip on you. She's like, "Didn't you just tell me we're gonna stay together forever?"
Right. Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, but just this one time, I'm gonna go off." So when I came back, I was like, "I'm not gonna leave her again. I just made this promise to her. I'm not gonna break it again." So I just felt like, I just gotta live up to that, before she starts not trusting me. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
why.
yeah. When you don't take her, like she walks up the stairs like looking really solemn, like her head sung down.
Yeah, I can't deal with that. I can.
But I was just like, to me, it was just like this parenting thing. It's like I feel bad. I know she wants to, but it's just dangerous. It's for your own good. I'm sorry, but
I hated.
I felt like I was.
Oh, I'm
doing
sorry.
what's right for her.
I hated the fact that when they went off to get supplies, he left her with Ben again, who had already fucked up earlier on.
That drove crazy, man. Like I felt like I got shoehorned into that choice of like having to praise him because last thing I want to do is piss him off and then leave him.
Right.
Leave him for her. So that really kind of annoyed me. But yeah.
Did you bring Clementine with you, Brad?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I kind of echo everything you guys said. I mean, basically, the plan was for everybody to sneak into Crawford, and I was thinking, well, if we're sneaking in, we're successful, nobody's going to see her anyway. She is smaller, so there's been a few times when she's gotten you out of a spot because she can get into a smaller space. And besides that, I mean, I would rather have her with me where I can keep an eye on them, and if any zombies come in, then it's on me to protect her. But at least I know where she is, rather than leave her behind in the fucking house alone. Like, that was
Yeah,
like
but
crazy
when we
talk.
first met her, though, she was hiding out in a house alone. Like she could.
Yeah, but that's because she was
she
left
could lay
alone.
low
But
for
now
a
that she's
night.
not alone, you got to bring her with. Like, I mean, to me, it was like, would I rather have my child with me, or would I leave him alone in a house when I may not even come back? I would rather have him with me. And so
Yeah.
to me,
Yeah,
it was kind of a no-brainer. So.
It's true. If I'd known that it was going to be zombies I'd be fighting, I would have brought her. But given what, all that I'd heard about Crawford, it seemed
Very
more
true.
dangerous for her to be there.
I mean, and believe me, I thought for sure there was going to be danger, and I was like, oh, I'm going to have to spend a lot of time trying to protect her and everything. But like I said, for me, it was about the promise. I was like, a promise is a promise. I can't keep lying to her.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely.
What is the next choice, Richard?
The next choice is when you're escaping Crawford for the are you escaping Crawford or the house when you're saved Ben? I forget which one.
You're
but-
escaping Crawford, right?
When you're escaping Crawford.
Bell Tower.
Yeah, when you're escaping Crawford through the bell tower, you have the option of, like, Ben falls off of the railing, and you have the option of either just leaving him behind and to get eaten by the zombies, or you can save him and bring him with you.
I
Now,
wanna
Wait,
back
and
up for
before
a
we get
second.
into that, there's a whole lot of stuff that happens in
yeah, there's like Ben. You found out in the last episode that Ben is the one that was giving the bandits the food, which is what triggered the assault when Lee found out about it and he stopped giving them supplies. So the bandits attacked the hotel, which is what resulted in Duck getting bitten and all that stuff. And then Ben earlier in the episode also fucks up when he completely abandons Clementine at this at the face of this oncoming horde of zombies. And Ben is just throughout the entire series has just been kind of this dopey, useless character. And then it's like you find out that he's done these really awful, terrible, selfish things. And this one was actually the closest of all five.
But there's a
actually
point where you vote. You vote whether to put Ben on the boat or not before
Right.
that even happens, right?
right, and you fought. Well, was it before that?
Oh yeah.
So did everybody vote to keep? How did you guys vote in that?
I abstained.
Yeah, I abstained from the vote because we were being attacked by zombies right at that moment. So I'm just like, we can't really do this right now. So
I voted to save Ben on the boat. Did anybody
Yeah.
else?
Wow, yeah.
What,
No, I
what were the actual
abstained.
choices? Was it actually? It was. I know abstain was one was kick him out. One was take him with. I
Right.
think I took him with. But
Yeah.
it seemed like there was more to it than just that. Like, wasn't it take him with and we can talk later, or was that the
No,
abstain?
it was those three. It was those three: abstain, take him, or say no, right then and there.
Yeah.
But Clementine votes to keep him, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Clementine
does.
votes
If you
to
give
keep
him the
Oh.
choice to vote, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Which I
whatever
did.
Clem said, I echoed. So she said keep him, so therefore I said keep him.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's kind of what I did too.
That's what I said.
But,
It's so
uh,
interesting to me that Clem is there for this whole last third of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But,
and again, well, then there's all this other stuff that we got to get into as well. But again, I thought that part was actually pretty hard for me as well. But so I'm kind of surprised that everyone's saying all the choices were useless and everything. But I thought that was a very powerful moment.
From
this
this
one
point
was
of the
actually
game on,
closest.
I thought that it was a really good episode. Go ahead, Richard.
Well, I'm sorry. Well, this one statistically was actually the closest. 62% saved Ben and 38% let him go. So this one was the closest percentage wise. And this one I actually did have to think about a little bit, just because like I mean, I honestly thought Kenny was gonna kill him anyway. Like as soon as we got back to safety, like he would just like flip out and strangle him, because like, you know, Ben, being the moron that he is, like tells Kenny about everything like in the middle of a zombie attack, and it's like,
Yeah.
dude, Ben, come on, just save it for later. So
Yeah, and by that point, by the way, I was sort of like resigned to the fact that Ben is just like, he's just dead weight between him like taking out the hatchet to let the zombies in, and then him,
Oh,
and then
God.
when I told him to shut up, he wouldn't shut up. I'm just like, this kid is just absolute dead weight.
Also, earlier in the episode, he makes like a snarky remark, like maybe you're okay with having dead people on your conscience, but I'm not, or something. He's just being an asshole.
yeah, and
Yeah, I was just so over the whole entire group, actually.
Yeah.
yeah.
Although I really
Well,
like
can
Molly.
we talk about the hatchet for a second?
Yeah.
Because I thought that was another bullshit choice. I mean, we haven't really talked about some of the details. I mean, we're kind of running over as it is, but I feel like in this episode there were a lot of details I feel like that were kind of glossed over, or things that didn't really catch for me. Like when Lee is jumping over a fence, there's ostensibly no way for him to get back out, and yet he does it again, and it's like, well, how did he get back?
Right.
And the same thing with like the locker that was locked in the hallway. You know, I walk by it a million times, I can't open it, and then all of a sudden I have a note, and it's like it opens without a comment, and it's like, well,
I think
you
he
got that
found a
from the-
passcode. He found a
but there
bunch
was
of
then
numbers.
nothing was said about it. It was just like all of a sudden it was unlocked. It wasn't like,
Oh, yeah, I
this
see.
code works.
I mean, I thought that was kind of obvious, but yeah, they should have at least said, "Oh yeah, I'll use the code that was in that thing." Yeah,
Yeah,
there were
like
a
there
lot
was-
of little gameplay gafes along the way that for sure there were some issues with this episode.
Well, and the hatchet was the biggest thing of all, because you're walking through that hallway a dozen times back and forth, and there's like a million zombies outside the door, and I kept waiting for that glass to break, right? And then so what? Like you leave to go to do something, and all of a sudden all the zombies leave, and then Ben just takes the axe out of the door? Like that makes no sense. I mean, Ben's a complete retard, but there's no way he would take that axe out, number one, and number two, what happened to all the zombies? It was like
They keep
too many
pouring
things
in,
happened
though.
that didn't add up for me. Like they took a little too many shortcuts overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could buy that the zombies may have just disbanded after, giving up on this. They probably just thought it was a wall after a while because they were stupid zombies, and they're like, oh wait, this doesn't open, and probably left. But to me, my biggest problem with the episode, or at least the single stupidest thing that I've seen in the series so far, was that third videotape, which had no reason to exist other than they had to shoehorn in some exposition.
Yeah, and for a character.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that, but
Okay.
yeah.
My question would be like, why do any of those tapes exist at all? It's like, especially like the one where he's like videotaping it, and he's like, and the doctor's just like, when he's talking to that woman who's pregnant, and she's just like, I'm sorry, but if there's any evidence that I covered this up, I could be executed. I'm like, then why the fuck are you taping it?
Yeah.
I'm like, just don't tape it.
Well, they sort of said that they had to videotape it as part of like documentation or whatever. I mean,
Yeah, but he could
Right.
just like make something up. I mean, like this, like, why would you put it on and then make an excuse about having to tape it? And it's like you're doing this thing that's supposedly like that has to be confidential. It's like, just don't tape it. Like, just make
well,
up.
I mean,
a
this is
different tape
Crawford.
later.
I mean, they make up their own rules. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just the
nothing's
bottom
confident.
line. I mean, there's not patient doctor confidentiality involved. I mean, they tell him he has to document it, he has to follow the rules, or he's dead. I mean, so
Yeah,
I
but
actually
then just
thought-
like Richard said, the next time that the guy checks the videos, the doctor's going to get busted for breaking the rules, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I
Yeah,
kind
why,
of
why does he keep?
Yeah, just fake a tape. Just like make up a tape later and just like, I don't know, make up some bullshit about how the session went and say she left or something, or just
There-
make up something about like how the camera failed or something like that.
well, the dude isn't exactly the most morally outstanding guy. I mean, he's like taking sex from like an evil teenager for medicine. This guy's not a nice guy. I mean, seems like he's pretty in on the whole thing. I mean, so.
But he doesn't seem like a complete idiot though.
Oh
so-
no, are you kidding me? No,
Well, the problem
but I'm saying he's not. He's corrupt though. He's clearly a part of the corrupt system.
No, he's definitely corrupt. I'm not saying he's not corrupt. I'm just saying like he doesn't seem dumb enough to tape this illegal thing that he's supposedly doing.
What's illegal? He's not doing anything illegal. He's giving her a chance to give herself up by the next day or take a hike.
Yeah.
I mean, that was nothing. There's nothing inconsistent about that.
Right, but if she suddenly like skips out or like tries to hide it or something, then I mean, why would you? But like the whole thing is like, why would you tape that at all? Is what I'm
He
saying.
has to.
Because exactly, you're sort of missing the point, Richard. I mean,
I think we're kind of getting lost in the weeds here. I mean, I think I can see the point from both sides, but I think in general, this entire sequence to me felt like it was really kind of shoved in to accomplish the goals of the writer. Like, it felt very unnatural to me. I don't know how you guys feel, but like when I got to the section about when you need to deal with all these events, we're talking about the videotapes, getting the combination for the safe, the drugs and all this stuff, like all the talking that happens there, Lee watching the videos, all that stuff to me felt like it could have easily been removed and it wouldn't have affected the episode at all. Like if they had just come back and said, "Hey, we found meds," like I would have been totally okay with that.
And
like,
God forbid you put that tape back in a second time. You have to watch it all the way through, and you can't skip over it.
Yeah, it's like if you pick the wrong tape when you're trying to watch the third one, you have to watch like the one you just watched, and you can't stop watching it.
There was a question that came up: what happened to Molly in your playthrough? Because apparently different things happened to her.
And it relates to the tape actually as well.
I really wanted to hear from she.
Yeah, and funny enough about the third tape, I actually screwed up. Like, I didn't play the third tape, and I actually had to rewind the game for the first time because I knew that third tape was out there, and so I never kind of got the full story of Molly, and that kind of really bothered me as well. So I actually had to rewind, like, a third of that whole episode and replay that part to play the tape because I somehow missed the fact that he had 3 tapes on him. I thought when he said there's a third tape, and it's right outside. I could have sworn he said, and it's right outside the door. So I walked out thinking it was like, what does that mean? Like, is it on the floor or something? And then by that time, the whole thing, you get swept up into the whole zombie chase thing, and it's gone. So then I realized I had to go back because I really wanted to, find out what happened with Molly exactly. But going back to so what was your issue? Was that you just thought the whole thing was contrived or something?
Well, my issue with the third tape is the first 2 I can kind of understand. Like, it might be the rule that they have to, like, tape their sessions. But the third one, like, the opening shot is him, like, zipping up his pants. And then, like, giving this woman drugs. And it's like, he's not even videotaping a patient session. He's specifically videotaping him engaged in a criminal activity. Why is he filming this?
Well, he could have, hit the button wrong, which seems to be that was the case, because if he was trying to record the sex, he got it wrong, right?
Yeah, maybe I could try.
No, I totally hear you. It's a little bit contrived.
It's clunky, yeah.
It's a little clunky, but but again, there's a lot of parts that are clunky overall. What I did appreciate in general, I actually kind of liked the way that they were sort of revealing parts of this stuff through the videotape. I thought it was a little bit, creepy, voyeurish, and strange, and I kind of like, who's Anna, and then you got the videotapes, so you're kind of watching. I found the whole dynamic kind of interesting. Did I appreciate the fetch quest? No, but you know what? The whole game, in terms of an actual gameplay, I thought it was relatively smooth overall. Like, I actually didn't get stuck in any of the sequences, unlike most of the other episodes. I actually kind of would get stuck here and there. But in this game, it kind of just flowed through well enough. I mean, even if the parts were all clunky and didn't quite fit. But yeah, and I hear what you're saying. In terms of the actual story, yeah, if you really want to think about it, it's like, yeah, why is he videoing this? But, that's how it goes, I guess.
Well, it could have worked if it had been like a security tape. I think that would have been a lot more affecting, like a black and white, taken from the corner without sound. And then you just seen it, like, pantomimed, of him, like, I mean, even if they showed the sex or made, like, a silhouette of it or something, like him actually doing it and then her, like, getting the drugs and then like, getting into an argument. Like, that could have, they could have still told this story in a way that wasn't, like, as stupid. I mean, it's a fairly minor point overall, but it was something that, like, the second I saw it, I'm just like, oh, come on.
Well, just to follow up on that, I think it's really interesting that it's not even a choice. Like, whether you talk to Molly about what you saw on the tape, it's not even one of the recorded choices, and it doesn't really matter either way from what I can tell, because she leaves you at the end of the episode regardless. So it's like, why... the whole thing to me felt like a really, really clumsy way of trying to add in a little bit more backstory to Molly, just for the sake of having it. Like, it totally felt like it stuck out to me. And honestly... when Molly's beating the shit out of that doctor zombie, and, clearly something is going on, like, you don't just rail on a zombie like that. I mean, something's happening. And to me, like, from a writer's perspective, I would have been totally fine not knowing what that was about. Her saying nothing, or, it's just somebody I used to know, or whatever, and just dropping it. Like, it's okay to not have every single fucking thing in the game explained, Like, in real life, you don't always get an explanation for everything. And then, I get, like, they were trying to make her more human or to kind of make you have this decision point, but it wasn't even a decision point, and it was really, to me, just felt so awkward. So,
You know what's interesting, Brad? Also, you could have actually gotten that experience by not watching the third tape, because that's what happened to me. And basically, the conversation you have with her, where you can accuse her of lying, that conversation never takes place. And it gets a little awkward at the end, because then you're hugging, you're kind of hugging her at the end before she leaves, and everything. And you're like wondering why are they so close all of a sudden without having sort of that big reveal. I don't know. Yeah, it unfolded differently for me. I was very curious. I really wanted to know. I thought Molly was a fairly interesting character, and that whole thing with when she was railing on the zombie, I really just felt like I wanted to know, and I got the answer. So it was a little clunky, but I felt satisfied by the answer at the end for me.
Before we talk about saving Ben, I just want to say quickly that fight scene on the stairs where you're chopping zombies in the back of the head, and then the one zombie grabs your shotgun and you shoot him, that was the coolest zombie fight for me of the whole series.
That was a good sequence.
Yeah, that was cool. We have like a foot stuck.
Yeah.
Combat-wise, I think that was the best they've done so far.
Yeah. So
I actually did appreciate how they used combat in this. It's the first time where they had a little of this in the third game, where the combat was actually like a mechanic.
Right.
And that's what I was just alluding to before, how like gameplay-wise it flowed through better than some of the other games. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then Ben's fallen, and you have a hold of him by your hand, and he's saying to let him go. The zombies are approaching.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons that if they had done this in a different way, I think it would have been okay. Like if Ben was like sacrificing himself so like we could get away, but it's like the zombies are like you've killed enough of the zombies that the zombies are like 2 flights of stairs down. So I mean, it's easy to save Ben in this situation.
He's just being a fucking idiot again.
Yeah, and it's just and another like minor point is like there are at least like 2 or 3 times in this episode where like someone is hanging off a ledge and like the person holding onto them just like pulls their entire body up with like one arm.
Mm-hmm.
Like Molly pulls Lee up with like just
Right.
her right arm. It's like, okay, Lee is like 1.5 times the size of you, so you're lifting him up with like one arm like while he's hanging off a ledge, and then like Lee does the exact same thing to Ben when he pulls him up. I just
speaking of impossible things, I'm sorry. I really don't think you can fucking carry a car battery in your fucking backpack. Those things weigh like 100 fucking
While
pounds.
jumping
dude.
from rooftop to rooftop.
Yeah, like, and she's like, she weighs like 100 pounds herself. That battery probably weighs more than she does. She's like, oh, let me stick this in my fucking backpack, doink, and she just like goes Spider-Man up the wall. Like, what the fuck, dude? Those things are heavy. You cannot. I was like, dude, that to me like completely broke my immersion for like 2 seconds. That was awful.
Yeah, that was weird. But it's like, there's very little reason not to save Ben there unless you just want to kill him and be done with it.
Did everybody save Ben?
Yeah.
I did save him knowing that I would probably need a meat shield for something in episode 5. So it's like having someone who's willing to sacrifice himself so everyone can get away is always useful.
This is scary, dude, because I think in this episode you and I have agreed more on our choices more than any other episode. Because I saved him for almost the exact same reason. I'm like, dude, you have been a fuck up, and I think you deserve a second chance. But if you really want to die for a cause, die for a purpose, and don't die right here in the fucking stairwell or whatever it is. And honestly, you guys, that was so fucking cliche. Like, it was really painful. I mean, just the whole you're grabbing him and he's, let me go. And all. I mean,
Right.
dude, like a million movies have done that. It's so fucking cheesy and stupid. It was too cheesy to participate in that, so I had to pull him up, man. It was just dumb.
It's funny. I was the exact. Oh, sorry, Chi.
No, go ahead.
I was the exact same way. I saved him because for a second it seemed like it was going to be this scripted thing where he's like, no, let me go. And then he's like going to redeem himself by, saving the group. And it just seemed so cliched and stupid. So, yeah, that was just me, like, not wanting the script to go that, to be that cliched. And also, like Richard said, there was no real convincing reason to let him go at that point.
Oh man, I let him go, man.
Did you?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh.
I did, and I gotta say, first of all, that was one of the hardest decisions for me, leading up in the entire series, actually leading up to that point, simply because I knew it was coming. First of all, and he had fucked up so much that I was like borderline ready to put a bullet in his head myself. But yet at the same time, I've always tried to live. I still try to play the game, from a moral high standpoint. Like, I've always, at the end of the day, I'm not going to kill anybody. I'm going to try to do the right thing. And I literally had to shut off my brain as the decision was happening. It kind of like went in slow-mo for me, man. Like, and I just basically had to step out of myself and just hit the button that said let him go, because I knew, like, I was just, first of all, I knew Kenny, was gonna kick him out one way or the other. It just wasn't working. Like I said, I had already started hating both him and Kenny to begin with. So here's like my first opportunity to break ties with this guy. I don't know if what he actually wanted or not influenced my decision at the time, because it was mostly my decision. I certainly didn't appreciate that Kenny was giving me that look like, yeah, let him go, fucker. So I hated the fact that I was doing Kenny's wishes. That fucking bothered me. It was a hard decision for me. In the end, like I said, I had to almost step out of myself just to push the button.
Well, I kind of wish that Kenny had come back in and just pulled Ben up himself. That would have been cool to me. Or something, like, it was just so predictable.
But there was no way he was going to do that. I know. He just found out that he was responsible. He wanted to kill him himself at that point.
And you kept saying, Ben, come on. He's like, no, let me die. If he'd have said it one more time, I probably would have dropped his ass. But I pulled him back up.
So anyway, but that was interesting. So I can totally see where you guys are coming, because it just seemed like the right thing to do. It's the cliche thing. It's the anti-cliche thing. But yet somehow I was able to fight that in myself and just let him go. And I will say the saving grace of that was, once again, Lee saves me by when he has to explain it to Clementine afterwards, because they have this awkward conversation afterwards, and she's like, did that happen? What did you say? And Lee thankfully has a good response in that he wanted to he said he wanted to save us, so I let it happen, and it was a great and well acted again, delivered well. So that kind of made it all right for me again at the end of the day. But I actually did have a really hard time with that, even feeling comfortable with it afterwards that I let him go.
I'm shocked that you of all people.
I'm shocked too. I'm totally shocked. Man.
Yeah,
I don't even know you, dude.
I expect that from Richard, but not you, Chi.
Yeah. Like I said, and it was this total build-up. It was this fact that, like, I kind of wanted to part ways with him already. I was so sick of him and him and his whining. He didn't listen to a single fucking thing I wanted him to do. He told Kenny at like the worst fucking time, Kenny wants him gone. He's gonna be gone. Like all these things were running in my head. Like I said, I knew the decision was coming, and when it happened, I was just like, fuck. And I just, like I said, I just sort of had to turn off my brain and just push the button.
Yeah, remember my reasoning for saving him was just like, if someone's going to sacrifice themselves, do it later. Like, do it when it's more useful. I'm like, I'll keep you around just for that.
Yeah.
I thought it was useful enough. I mean, yeah, sure, there was the save him option, but whatever. As you see in this game, a fresh body is never useless. It distracts somebody. That's even the same in the TV show. You see how it goes. Shane popped that guy just to get away.
Spoilers for that.
Sorry. Yeah, well, we're in the spoiler thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to spoil the show. But
do you guys want to move on to the bite part?
We probably should. We're running really late, and there's going to be probably a lot to talk about.
Okay, so Lee gets bitten, basically.
Yes, Lee gets bitten, and at the very end of the episode, Lee gets bitten, and you have the decision of whether or not to show the bite, to tell people if you've been bitten, to tell the group if you've been bitten and are going to die and turn into a zombie in a fairly short amount of time. And 80% of players showed them the bite, as opposed to 20% who didn't. I showed the group the bite because, honestly, they're going to find out eventually anyway. Like, they're either going to look at my arm, or I'm going to start being sick, and people are going to start wondering if I've been bitten. And on top of that, that puts Clementine in danger. Well, Clementine wasn't there, but that puts everyone else in danger. So, because if I turn before I realize I'm turning and like wind up biting people, so I just went ahead and told him.
I didn't, because I was afraid Kenny was going to fucking shoot me from behind or something. Did everybody else show him the bite?
I did not. I did not.
Wow, Brad.
Yeah, that surprised me. I also did not.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted everyone to help me find Clementine.
Yeah.
That was...
Really? Because like everyone came with me, even though I showed them the bite.
Well, let's step back for 1 minute. I have to say this. Lee getting bitten the way that he got bitten was the fucking stupidest thing in the entire fucking series.
Really disappointing.
That was so fucking stupid. It was
that was sort of par for course for this episode, where like, yeah, how do you not see that zombie?
Oh my god! It was like a garbage bag. There's like an entire zombie crouched silently behind one fucking garbage bag. How do you not see that?
He was so preoccupied with trying to find Clementine, he just seen Clementine's hat.
He was, and I get that's what they were trying to do. Like, here's the hat, I'm going to reach for the hat. But dude, the zombie right next to
that's
there was a million fucking ways he could have been bitten that would have made way more sense. That would have been way more dramatic rather than oh, I'm going to oh shit, like what?
Yeah.
It was awful. It was
Wait,
awful.
I'm disappointed he
I
was
have a-
bitten in general. Jeffrey, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I interrupted.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I had a question about that because I went straight for. I saw that there was an examine prompt, but I thought, no, that's the kind of thing I would do in an adventure game. If I'm really role playing this character, I'm not gonna like stop him because usually when you examine something, just like it's a garbage bag,
Right.
you know. So I'm like, no, I'm not gonna stop and examine everything. I wanna get the walkie-talkie. Could you actually see the zombie?
I didn't examine it, I don't think.
I didn't examine it either.
I talked
Yes,
to
I
somebody
did.
who did examine it, but I thought you had told me you examined the garbage, Chef. You didn't do that?
No, I didn't examine it. But are you saying like the zombie was visible in that shot, or you're just
No,
you're
I'm
just
saying it's
perceptive
retarded that
enough?
you couldn't see the zombie. I talked to somebody who did examine the garbage first, and they said that if you examine it, then you get bitten when you examine it. If you don't examine it, you get bitten when you reach for the hat. So you get bitten either way.
Right, it
but
makes
it's
more
like-
sense if you get bit. I'm sorry.
It
but
does.
makes-
That does actually make more sense, but first of all, why the fuck is the zombie in the garbage? What is-
Well,
the
yeah,
zombies,
you couldn't
the
take
zombie,
2
zombies
steps to the
dumpster
left.
diving.
Yeah,
What?
you couldn't take 2 steps to the left and see that there was a fucking entire zombie behind that thing? Like, dude, that was stupid.
I'm just disappointed that he got bitten in the first place. That's a bummer.
Yeah, it seems like that would, like, if they were going to do that, it'd be something they do at the beginning of the 5th episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of thought the same thing. I thought the timing of it was really awkward. It was like
Yeah.
double cliffhanger between that and the way that it ends, which I'm sure we're gonna mention in a
Yeah.
second. But yeah, it was weird.
What's also interesting is that it's kind of a very light, fleshy wound. It wasn't like he took a big chunk of him either.
Right.
So I wonder, like, how infected is he really? You know.
Oh, that's a
But-
good point.
Interestingly, my wife, she's like, why was there not an option to cut your arm off? Like that should have been an option. Like you couldn't.
Oh.
It's like on the wrist or whatever. It's a really shallow wound. People nearby, somebody could have helped him out. Get a belt around there. I don't know. It seemed like that should have been an option. I was kind of surprised.
Maybe
it
it
wasn't.
will be still.
So I just
Well,
wanted to say.
not if it gets in his bloodstream. But
Yeah.
go ahead, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say, like, it sounds like a lot of you didn't like it. I really liked. It was probably maybe my second favorite moment of the episode because, for one, I did go straight for the walkie-talkie, so it didn't seem. I wasn't thinking about the garbage, so to me, it did seem like that could happen. Like this was, Lee at his most distracted,
Right.
in an emergency, and I liked that it wasn't him doing something epic like saving someone. It was him just being careless for like a moment in a totally non-eventful. He gets hurt in a very non-eventful way, like people do, and I liked that it happened in episode 4 because I would have expected him, or would at least not have been surprised for him to die at the end of episode 5. So for that to happen as early as it did was like really shocking, and I'm sure Brad and I will talk about it.
Well, that's a good point.
Right.
And they've done a good job of throwing things at you that you don't expect and that aren't typical of a lot of like zombie games. So I can appreciate it. It bums me out because I like Lee a lot as a character.
Oh, me too.
But I thought it was great that it not great that it happened to him, but I thought it was an affecting moment for me as well. What I didn't like was just these magically appearing zombies, which again it wasn't the first time.
Right.
The second worst part in the game where you're trying to climb up for the second time to the garage. And the zombie appears, and this one's even more hilarious because you don't even have to kill him. Something magically appears out of the sky and kills him, which I thought was like the second most stupidest thing ever in the game. But I was like, what the hell was that? Something falls on his head, and then they don't even explain it. Moving on. It's like
Moving on.
and that's sort of par for course for the entire game. In that, overall, I thought like when you think about the individual set pieces, in terms of like the boy in the attic, and Molly, what Molly had to go through as a story, regardless of the videotapes, and then like Lee getting bitten, all that stuff I thought was consistent with the series. It was just for some reason the execution on this one episode was just all over the place, and then yet somehow the gameplay was fine. It flowed through well.
The
So
thing was,
episode.
sorry Lee. I mean, sorry, Chi. The thing was, last episode 3 had so many major moments, major characters dying. This one, I think, just it wasn't as. I don't know.
It was flat.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it felt. It was just
I don't
like
know.
compared to the.
But
But
It's like compared to the high of episode 3, and this is actually kind of where I think the comics are at too. Is like after this really, really high, like emotional, intense thing, and it kind of goes like on this downward plane. That's to be expected. I mean, nothing's going to be, you're not going to keep that intensity up after episode 3 for like the entire thing. But this one just felt just so comparatively dull.
The thing is, I complained in episode 3 they were killing off too many major characters, so I'm not pleased either way, apparently. I still love this series. But what's interesting about this episode is that depending on, I don't know what it depended on, but different characters could choose to come with you at the end. I was under the impression that no matter what you did, the ending was still kind of the same. But for me, now I'm stuck just with fucking Ben. It's me and Ben, and that's it. So I wish I had killed Ben now.
Exactly.
Oh.
Well, to frame it though, I mean, so the actual choice, it's kind of like a two-parter choice right at the end. So it's like, do you reveal, or is it a separate choice, Richard, or is it part of the same choice?
I think it's sort of like all the same sequence. Like the first one, like the one that they track, the major one is like, or the one on the list anyways, like do you show the bite or you don't show the bite, and then
who are you with, or who did you take with you, right?
Yeah, there's like different combinations, like people you can take with you. It's like you can take everyone with you, which is what I did, and you can take just Lee, like you can have just Lee going to look for Clementine. You can have like just Lee and Ben. You can have Lee and Kenny. There's different combos of like your team for that.
I'm interested how everybody ended up and what factors that in. Like, how does it?
Yeah. Let's go through it one at a time, because this is kind of I think it's going to be a really big deal in the next episode. So, Richard, how did you choose? And then we'll just go through everybody.
I took everyone, which was like I had Ben alive, so I had Ben, Krista, Kenny, and Omid. So I had everyone I could possibly have, and the reason for that is the episode ends with like that guy on the radio taunting you again, like he's saying like, I've got Clementine, and it's like, the scene just cuts to black with like Lee looking at the radio, and you don't know what you're walking into in that situation. Like it could be one guy, it could be a group of guys, it could be like 20 guys. You honestly don't know what is on the other end of that radio. So the way I'm thinking, I need as many people as I can get. I've got three pretty capable shooters in Lee, Kenny, and Krista. I've got Omid. He can make crappy one-liners or whatever it is that he does, and like Ben can be my meat shield. Like I can throw him at zombies if I need to. So it's like I've got a pretty good team to go look for Clementine.
I would have loved all three, but the only one that went with me was Ben. I didn't have much of a choice, I don't think.
Now, why was that, Dylan? What happened there in your particular sequence?
Kenny was like, "Fuck you, you never looked out for me," and I was like, "No, fuck you." And then Krista was like, we have to look out for ourselves. Which, by the way, Mike, kudos on predicting that Krista's pregnant. I'm pretty sure she is now. So Mike,
yeah,
I called
totally.
But yeah, I don't know. Ben was the only one that went with me, and I was like, with Ben, it was like Clementine stuck up for you, so now you stick up for Clementine, and he was like, okay.
Okay, all right. So Chi, what did you pick?
It's pretty interesting. So, like I've been saying, I've kind of over the group. Although I don't hate Krista and Omid, I'm still kind of like I'd just love to be by myself at this point. Mm. So I did show him the wound, and then afterwards I said, "Look, this is something I got to deal with myself." Krista and Omid sort of say, Clementine's our responsibility too. We're in this together. So I'm like, fine. You want to come? All right, come. And then. Kenny lays that line on you, how you're not always there, and I was like, oh, this fucking guy, man, I can't believe this motherfucker. And for some reason, I didn't pick the fuck you option the first time, because I thought I would still have the option of leaving him by picking something else. But then he takes him, and he's like, he still decides to come. He's like, oh, at the end, you did shoot duck for me, and I appreciate that, so I'm coming. So funny thing, remember, I had to rewind the game to get the Molly story. The second time I did it, I was like, fuck you, Kenny, and then he takes off and leaves. So I'm now just with Omid and Krista, and I also dropped what's his name, Ben.
You dropped Ben down the stairwell.
Again, twice.
All right, Jeff, what did you pick?
So as I said, I didn't tell anyone about the bikes. For me, my number one priority above all else was to rescue Clementine. So I wanted to bring everyone because, strength in numbers and all that. The only hitch was Kenny was saying he wouldn't go if Ben did come. And I can't remember the three options, or if there even were three options, but it seemed like I had to pick a side there. And I told Ben, sorry, but I need Kenny with me on this one, just because even though Kenny's really unhinged, the guy can fight. I mean, he's muscle. He's muscle. He has a little bit more know-how about survival, and yeah, so.
Just pray he doesn't turn the gun on you next episode. That's all.
Interesting. Well, so for me, I did not reveal my bite, and I got to say, out of the whole episode, this was one of the times when I was like, I'm not really sure which way to go on this one. I was really hemming and hawing, but I didn't show the bite. Number one, because honestly, at that point, I didn't trust Kenny enough not to blow me away. Like as soon as I showed it, I think if Kenny hadn't have been there for whatever reason, I think I might have shown it.
Mm-hmm.
But with Kenny having the hair trigger before, and without really feeling much of a bond between mostly Krista, but also Krista and Omid, I didn't feel like I really had the unity of the group. I didn't have a lot of trust in the group as a whole, and Ben, he's kind of a waste. So it's like, I have no idea what's going to happen. If it was the original group, I probably would have said it no problem, but now it's like, I don't think so, you guys. So I didn't say anything, and I took nobody with me. I went solo.
Wow.
And the choice for that was 6% of everybody chose my choice of not telling and going alone. And the reason I went alone, partly was because of a sense of responsibility to the rest of the group. Part of me as a writer was thinking, okay, this is going to be really awkward because, they've shown that people don't last that long when they get bitten. How is Lee going to make it through an entire episode? They're going to have to really blur the lines on that. But also, I didn't want to have, I didn't want to turn and bite, Omid and Krista or Ben or, any of those guys. And I'm like, the timing wise, it seems like I should have taken them, but I didn't want to put the rest of the group at risk. But like, I couldn't tell them. So I thought, all things being equal, I'm going to go by myself, and knowing that this is an actual video game and they're not going to end the episode 5 minutes after I pay for it as a DLC, I'm assuming that Lee's going to make it to the end, so I can probably choose this and know that I'm going to get the full experience. So I kind of like fudged, I made like a little meta decision there, but that's the way I swung.
Makes sense, and I'm wondering how different the next episode will be for everybody with different people now.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about that now. Sure.
Did it? Go ahead, Brad.
Well, I was just going to say, honestly, I suspect that there's going to be some reason to get the group back with me sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I have a really hard time thinking that they're going to be able to branch things out. I mean, swapping Carly for Doug is one thing because it's basically the same. You just have different dialogue. But to have one whole branch be all solo and one whole branch be a group seems to me like a much bigger piece of work. Mm-hmm. So I suspect the group's going to be like, oh, we changed our mind, we're going to come with you or something in episode 5. So.
But at the same time, though, Brad, those are still very different tracks. I mean, like the whole story with what's her name, not Carly.
Molly.
No. The
Krista.
No, the one either Doug or.
Yeah, it's Carly.
Yeah, it's
Carly. Sorry. I mean, there's like practically a budding romance between Carly and Lee. So if you pick Doug, that whole story goes away. So it's pretty dramatic. You know what I mean? Like.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't know. My gut feeling is that I don't think they're gonna. I mean, I may be wrong, but I think that they're not gonna let you go solo that whole episode.
I just don't think
I would really. Sorry, go ahead, Richard.
I was going to say I don't think they're just going to write Kenny out of it because I think there's a lot of conflict with Lee there. Kenny still has an ongoing arc, and I just don't think they're just going to cut that out for episode 5. Like he's going to come back in some way.
The ongoing arc is when's he going to blow his own brains out?
Exactly. It's like
there's not much else going on there. I mean, he's got no family left. He's got this pipe dream of just taking a boat out to the middle of nowhere, which is what the main, like I said, this kills me about this one episode is like you're just sort of following Kenny's nonsense dream of nothing basically. But I it would really upset me as well because I finally got that decision that I've been wanting since after episode 2 where I've been trying to like cut ties with Kenny. I finally cut ties with him, and that'd be pretty upsetting to me if like for some reason he comes in like he's fucking Chow Yun-fat at the end of Better Tomorrow, saving the day, and shit, but whatever.
But he's like, I don't know. He just seems to me it's like he's on this very self-destructive path. Like he's gonna do something in episode 5. Like I think even if you don't take him with him, I think Brad is at least partially right. I think at least some of them will show up. Especially Kenny, just because he's the only one that's him and Clementine are the only ones that have still been there since episode 1. So yeah.
I never got the impression that the people you're saying goodbye to are going to be gone for the rest of the series. I assumed that you'll reunite, back at the house or something. Because originally it just seemed like we're going to go, nab Clem, and even though she's not there, it just seems like I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of reunion.
I mean, it's one more episode left in the season, but yeah, I mean, it's going to end one way or the other, though. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, seriously. I mean,
Like, they're
it
not
can
gonna-
only end one way, so.
They're not going to party in the house, for another couple of episodes after that. So even if
Right.
they're all still alive, doesn't mean they're necessarily together in some ways.
True.
Well, let's jump ahead. I mean, we're way super over time, but there's still one really huge question left to answer. And Jeff and I have talked about this at length, but I think it would be really interesting to talk about. So the last thing that happens in this episode is that Clementine's gone. That's what happens after you get bitten. Is you're looking for her, and then you find the walkie-talkie and you hear the male voice that you heard earlier in the season. And I forget what it was like, but it was like, "We've got Clementine" or something. Does anybody know what they say exactly in that last dialogue piece?
It's like, we have Clementine, and then like I think it depends on what you have Lee say to that person, but then the voice on the radio is like, it's like, you want to choose your words more carefully next time. And there's like a horde of zombies walking outside the house.
Yeah, so they don't. I think that little piece of writing is going to be pretty crucial because it's going to lead into who those people or a person actually is. But I think honestly, they kind of went to the well too often with this thing. I didn't like that as a mechanic in the first place, and then to go to it again as the cliffhanger a second time felt kind of weird. I really was kind of hoping we'd resolve that sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. So Jeff and I kind of have a pet theory. I'll let Jeff explain that in a minute. But what do you guys think is going to happen? Who is that voice? What do you think's at the other end of that walkie-talkie?
I know your theory, Brad, and my counter theory is sort of plays off yours. So I'll let.
Okay, so hold on. Chi,
Yeah,
what
I'll
do
let
think?
you go first.
I honestly have no freaking idea because there was that shadow figure that appears a couple of times throughout the episode as well. I suspect it's that shadow figure. That clearly wasn't Molly. But I mean, that's one of the things I did appreciate about the episode. I really still have no idea where any of this is going. I thought there would be more resolution with the parents, but obviously that didn't happen, and they kind of steered it in this one way, and so I really have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea who that person is, and that's kind of a good thing in my mind as far as the story goes.
Well, Dylan, what about you?
I'm irritated they set up the cliffhanger and then didn't resolve it in this episode, first of all. Second of all, I'm with Chi. I have no idea. I assume it's going to be an as yet unintroduced character that we don't know yet, but I'm interested to hear this pet theory.
Jeff, you want to before Jeff gets into the theory, I just want to say I really think that Telltale has set the bar too high on this one. I think that the potential for failure is higher than it's ever been anywhere else in the other 4 episodes. And I think that it's gimmicky, and I think that to have this big reveal based on what we know of the show so far, I feel like they're really, really walking a tightrope, and I am genuinely afraid that it's gonna just completely crash at the end. But anyway, Jeff, take it away.
Okay, well, like Brad, I was also really concerned about this because having like a shocker twist or someone stalking them seems really not in keeping with what the series is about and all these more realistic decisions. It seemed like whatever they pick is going to be really contrived. So Brad and I were talking about this, and basically I just shot out a lot of theories until until I found one that actually fit. So initially I just figured, I don't know, maybe it's just some bandit who just wants her to come to to be a bartering tool, just hold her hostage to get resources. And then we're like, well, that's anticlimactic. It could just be some, pedophile creep who hurt a girl on the other end. But the problem with these theories is that Clem's been hiding this from you. And she's been, she's gotten very close to Lee over this time. So why would she trust a stranger over a walkie-talkie rather than Lee? And at one point she says that this person is a friend. And remember, her parents are in Savannah. So I think that the person on the other end is a family friend. And the reason why they're acting so malevolent right now is because they know who Lee is. They probably got in touch with Clem, and she described the man she's with. And if you remember the beginning of the series, his case was at least moderately publicized. Like Larry knew who he was. His name's been in the papers. So whoever this person is does care about Clementine and knows that she's with a convicted killer and is advising her to keep that between them. So as far as they know, you're just like this creep.
Then why is he still taunting Lee over the walkie-talkie if he's got?
I wish I could hear the dialogue again. Was he really taunting Lee,
point.
or just, is it a big miscommunication? And
it came off to me as taunting. Like even in the 3rd episode, like it came off as a very sort of playful tone from the guy on the radio. So
I agree
I'll talk about that more often.
I agree. I think that I think the creators intend it that way, but I think that when you actually look at what the dialogue actually is, and I think they're going to fudge it. I think that when you get to the end, if this turns out to be the correct theory, they will make it out to be as if, oh well, we didn't mean it that way, or we weren't trying to sound malevolent. Like they're going to kind of retcon a little bit. But like Jeff says, I think the only way that the two of us could come up with a theory that worked was to have this be like one of those classic situational misunderstandings where Lee thinks the voice on the walkie-talkie is like a pedophile or they're evil. Right. The voice on the walkie-talkie thinks that Lee's a convicted killer and Clem is with them. So they want to try to, like, each one is a good guy, but each one thinks the other one is a bad guy. And so they're kind of like at odds, even though they probably would be on the same team. And it's just like this giant misunderstanding. I do feel like it's kind of a stretch given the situation. And especially with the shadow chasing them. I mean, I think anybody tailing anybody in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, pretty questionable if that's a doable thing.
But he did tell him to get out of the way when the zombies were coming, when the bell was ringing, so he was looking out for him.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think kind of lends credence to that theory. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense. And as far as our imaginations go, this was the least contrived, most sensible thing we could come up with. But I mean, we're probably going to be wrong, and it's probably going to be something totally weird and wonky. So, well, Richard, what was that?
Just real quick though, Brad also brought up a really good point that Lee's dying. So what's going to happen to Clem?
Oh yeah.
So the fact that Lee would be reuniting Clem with people that she knows would also tie everything together.
Because Lee's going to die regardless, right? So the only way this can happen, Kenny can't take care of her, Ben can't take care of her. Omid and Krista might be able to, but I don't really feel like it's going to swing that way. So my thought was that Lee's going to get really sick. He's going to rescue Clem, or he's going to reunite with her. Something's going to happen. He's going to drop her off with this voice who ends up being an uncle or a family friend or something like that. Clem is with somebody who can genuinely take care of her. Lee, his duty is relieved. He's a hero and he dies heroically. People are going to be sad but still feel good that he got his job done. So it kind of all brought it together because Lee's dying regardless no matter what, right?
Mm.
So
if it goes this way, will you be disappointed or will you be happy?
I'll be happy because I can't think of any other way that they can do this. It won't be even more contrived. This is by far the most sensible thing we could think of, even if the voice is a little more menacing. Or
he did say that he has her parents though. He's with her parents, so why wouldn't he put the parents on the? I don't know. It's an interesting theory.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was against the walkie-talkie thing in general, and I'm with Jeff. I mean, what Jeff said, this to me was the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah,
I really don't want to see the series crash and burn at the end, and I'd be happy if it happened that way because it would make sense, but who knows?
Richard, what's your counter theory?
My counter theory is one, and the reason I don't think it's a quote-unquote family friend is like we were talking about before. It's like the guy on the radio is taunting Lee. That doesn't come off as like concerned family member to me.
Do you remember the actual dialogue though?
Not exactly, but I remember the tone.
Doesn't he curse at them at the end of the third episode? Like, stay the fuck out of Savannah or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Something along those lines. I could be wrong about this, and we could look this up afterwards, and I could be completely wrong, but it's like the guy on the radio comes off as more sinister than concerned family member.
But they can fudge that. I mean, I agree with
Brad,
they
could fudge it.
And Jeff, they could fudge it,
Yeah, and what I'm about to say, I mean, this is also a good bit of speculation on my part. This is just a guess from me, but when you were in Crawford, you saw like all these posters on the wall, and it's like one of them was like the photo of like the guy who was in charge, who was like going crazy and making up all these rules. I have somewhat of a hunch that it's him. It's like her Clementine's parents were in Crawford. He took them with her, and now he wants Clementine because now he doesn't have Crawford anymore, so he can like sort of rebuild his society or whatever it was that he was building in Crawford. So that's my guess. I mean, like I said, I could be completely wrong about that, but that's how it came off to me. Just because I don't think that the radio guy is a family member. It just does not come off that way.
Do you think that it has anything to do? Remember at the end of episode, was it 2, where that woman was videotaping Clementine? Do you think those two things are connected, or?
You would think that, but I mean that cliffhanger at the end of 2 was like so mishandled
Yeah.
and like not really clear that I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I just thought there's some crazy woman who'd lost a daughter around the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting theory. I mean,
Yeah.
when is the next
I mean,
episode? Go ahead, Brad.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, that kind of makes sense in some ways because, like it's gonna be hard to make an episode without a big bad to go against, and they've been building it up so much. I mean, that to me would be really disappointing and cliche. Like I wouldn't want to see it end that way.
Mhm.
But then again, I'm really hard pressed to think of a way it could end. But I think there's some merit to what Richard's saying. I mean, like, if this guy in Crawford was collecting able-bodied adults, maybe he took them by force. Maybe they're there, and he's like, maybe he's got a second little encampment somewhere. I don't know quite why he would want Clementine to come. It doesn't really make all that much sense. I mean,
Yeah, 'cause they don't
is
know
he
what-
had a standoff with their parents, and so he's trying to get her to be a bargaining chip or something? Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see. It's
Brad-
not entirely implausible, though.
I think.
I'm sorry, Dylan.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I have one question for you. Does the Crawford, does the theory that the guy on the radio, if he's the Crawford guy, that feels like something that would happen in the comics to me. It's like they would find like this like encampment of people that have like gone bad or something that's still left from Crawford. Like it almost kind of sounds like the governor to me. Like, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant. Like, I could kind of see that happening, sort of. I mean, to me, it feels a little bit like out of the blue, considering how the rest of the episodes have gone. I mean, I kind of liked how it was kind of episode by episode, and it didn't have like this overall like big arc. Because I think in a lot of stories, that's where they fall flat, is they can manage the shorter arcs, but they trip up on the big one. So I could see it happening, but I don't know if I'd be happy about it. Chief, what do you got there?
If episode 5 brings back Crawford or the ghost of Crawford in some way, it would be inconsistent with the rest of the series. Not that it's not possible, but yeah, as you've said, every episode sort of breaks ties with the previous episode before, other than the characters that you bring with you. But that's about it. So that doesn't sound consistent, but they could be flipping the expectations as well. And just my overall comment on your Brad, your and Jeff's theory. It's a plausible theory, but yet at the same time doesn't feel right as far as what the writers have been doing thus far. It would seem, I wouldn't say predictable, but just too safe in some ways. And yeah, it may be like they're going to try to reach, but I'll have a little faith in the writers. I mean, they've done pretty well for four episodes, so who knows? I mean, they've kept, like I said, I have no idea what's going to happen. I think that's a credit to the writers thus far.
Last question: will you guys be disappointed if Lee somehow does not die in the last episode?
Yeah, that'd be a cop out.
Yeah, I'd be really disappointed.
Yeah.
I think Clementine might kill him, or he has to shoot himself. I don't know.
Yeah, if they were
Maybe
going to save him, he needed to chop his arm off like
Yeah.
fucking there, and he didn't do it, so he needs to die. He has to die.
Maybe that'll be the final choice. Like, do you kill yourself or do you get Clementine to do it or someone else to do it?
As long as it's not Kenny or fucking Ben, it's fine.
Ben, it's Ben. Ben's going to do it.
He'll redeem himself by killing you at the
Can't
end.
be for me.
right.
Ben's dead, so
He'll come back from the dead and do it.
right.
Well, this was a good conversation, you guys. I'd like to remind everybody. Does anybody have anything else they want to say before we sign off? All right, you can download us on iTunes. Give us a 5-star review if you like us. You can download us directly from GameCritics.com. Leave us a comment. Send us some mail. For
Podcast at GameCritics.com.
podcast at GameCritics.com. You can also like us on Facebook at Game Critics. I've been Dylan Collins for Richard Nyack, Chi-Kong Liu, Brad Gallaway, Jeffrey Malouf, and the sex-traveling Mike Bracken. Good night and game on.